0.068 seconds after being fastest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning a first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oledzki and Newman, further efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonald and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chalmers the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breeze to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he felt the final hurdle in the French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw and he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all then for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge will be against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and our club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle, and Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up and he will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice to win the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Dordan gave them a 25th minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up with their loft off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smead produced a match-winning knock-off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who is 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fastest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning a first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oledzki and Newman, further efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonald and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chalmers the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breeze to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he felt the final hurdle in the French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw and he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all then for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge will be against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and the club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle. Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up. They will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice to win the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Thauvin gave them a 25th minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up where they left off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smith produced a match-winning knock off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who is 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fastest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning a first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to the top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oledzki and Newman, third efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonald and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chalmers the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breeze to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he felt the final hurdle in the French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw as he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge will be against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and the club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle. Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up. They will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice to win the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Thauvin gave them a 25th minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up where they left off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smith produced a match-winning knock-off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to a sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who was 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fattest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning a first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oledzki and Newman, further efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonald and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chalmers the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breezed to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he felt the final hurdle in the French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw as he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all then for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and our club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle, and Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up and he will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice in the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Dorvan gave them a 25th-minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up where they left off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smith produced a match-winning knock-off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to a sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who was 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fattest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning a first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oledzki and Newman, further efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonald and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chalmers the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breezed to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he felt the final hurdle in the French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw as he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all then for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge will be against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and our club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle, and Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up and he will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice to win the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Dordan gave them a 25th-minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up where they left off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smith produced a match-winning knock off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to a sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who is 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fastest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning a first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to the top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oledzki and Newman, further efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonald and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chan was the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breezed to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he fell at the final hurdle in the French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw as he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all then for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge will be against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and our club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle, and Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up and he will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice to win the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Dordan gave them a 25th-minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up where they left off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smead produced a match-winning knock-off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who is 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fattest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning their first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to the top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oletsky and Newman, further efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonnell and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chalmers the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breezed to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he fell at the final hurdle in the French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw as he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all then for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge will be against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and the club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle, and Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up and he will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice to win the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Dordan gave them a 25th minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up where they left off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smead produced a match-winning knock-off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who is 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fattest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning their first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to the top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oletsky and Newman, further efforts from Hall, Croft, Sevo, McDonnell and Hankinson. Elsewhere, and Lee Leopards hammered Hull FC 42-6. Josh Chalmers the headline act with a hat-trick to close in on Ryan Hall's club Super League record as Lee Leopards breeze to victory. And in tennis, Britain's Felix Gill will have to wait to make his Grand Slam singles debut after he fell at the final hurdle in French Open qualifying. He was unable to join compatriot Toby Samuel in the main draw as he suffered a 7-6, 6-3 defeat by France's Kylian Jacquet. That's all then for the latest headlines. Here are our latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Hill. We'll start with the news with Pep Guardiola and his press conference energising. He said that the club need new energy as he brought an end to his 10-year reign as coach. His final game in charge will be against Aston Villa on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. He has led the club to 17 major trophies, including 6 Premier League titles and a Champions League victory since he arrived a decade ago. In honour of his impact, City's newly developed North Stand will be named after him and fully open for the first time in the club's closing game of the season. A statue will also be built for Guardiola and positioned on the approach to the stand. Reports suggest that City are preparing for Guardiola's departure a year before the end of his contract. They've yet to announce, though, his successor. There has been talks about Marco Silva's future. He's promised that he will make a decision on his future next week. His contract at Craven Cottage expires at the end of June, and the club are keen to keep him, offering a new 3-year deal. Silva, who was appointed in 2021, was linked with a Chelsea job before former Liverpool Xabi Alonso was appointed. Benfica have also been mentioned as suitors after they lost Real Madrid bound Jose Mourinho. Fulham's final game of the season is against Newcastle, and Silva insists that it's not an issue in the build-up and he will soon be confirming his next move. Elsewhere, Lens beat Nice to in the Coupe de France for the first time in their 120-year history. Florian Dordan gave them a 25th minute lead at the Stade de France in Paris with a low strike before former Celtic and Crystal Palace forward Odsonne Edouard doubled the advantage with a header 3 minutes before half-time. There was a comeback goal from Koulibaly, only for Seema to wrap up the victory for Lens in a famous night for the club. In cricket, England's batter Jacob Bethel will have an assessment on a finger injury less than 2 weeks before the first test against New Zealand. The 22-year-old missed Friday's Indian Premier League game for Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending champions RCB have qualified for the playoffs, with the final taking place on Sunday, 4 days before Bethel is due to be playing with England at Lords. In the T20 Blast, Somerset picked up where they left off last September as the reigning champions repeated their final victory over Hampshire with a ruthless performance. Will Smith produced a match-winning knock-off 94 in last year's decider at Edgbaston, and this time he smashed 59 off 29 in a 7-wicket win to help the Holders get off to a fast start. In Formula 1, George Russell bounced back after a difficult recent run to beat Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli to a sprint pole at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Briton, who is 20 points adrift of the Italian after 4 races this season, headed Antonelli by 0.068 seconds after being fastest on both runs in final qualifying. Elsewhere, a ruthless Montpellier Rugby Union, they ended Ulster's hopes of winning their first trophy in 20 years with a 59-26 victory in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao. In Rugby League, Leeds Rhinos returned to top of Super League with a 9-try thrashing of hapless bottom club Huddersfield Giants. 2 tries from Oledzki and Newman, further efforts from
last week, but now we can get down to the football at Wembley Stadium. And as for Hull City, there is one changer from the side that ran out as winners away at Millwall, with Kyle Joseph out injured. He's replaced by a match winner, Mo Balumi. As for Middlesbrough, just the one change as well. Conway is injured and he is replaced by Brown. The 11s in full is Pando in goal for Hull City, with the back three of Ajayi, Egan and Hughes. Coyle, Slater, Crooks and Giles make up the 4 in midfield, with Balumi, Miller and McBurney as the attacking 3. For Middlesbrough, it is Bryn in goal with a back 3 of Ayling, Fry and Malander. Britton, Morris, Brown and Target are the 4 across the middle, with Whittaker, McGree and Strelets as the attacking 3. It's a 3:30 kickoff, Hull City against Middlesbrough. Well, it's a very warm welcome, and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. Our referee Jared Gile just making the final checks. The two sides have actually swapped ends, but we are now ready to get this championship playoff final underway. And it is a bit of a relief as well, because there's so much talk of off-field matters right from the moment that the whole Spygate thing started. We are going to do our best to avoid going back to that throughout the afternoon today, of course, because we just want to see a really good game of football. These playoff finals can sometimes be cagey affairs. Something tells me that both of these two sides are going to have to go for it a little bit with everything going on in the background. It's myself, Paul Shbakovic, and Johnny Holmes taking the reaction. Johnny, we're expecting a good game today?
We are. I think the key words are focus on the football, with so much going on off the field. But the players have got to put that to bed now, haven't they? Put that to rest and just focus on this crucial 90 minutes, possibly among the most crucial 90 minutes across world football, the chance to be in the Premier League and all the money and all the adulation that comes with that. That's what waits for one set.
Absolutely, as Middlesbrough trying to make a bright start here now with Whittaker just cutting away from Brooks, trying to play a ball towards the edge of the area, gets it straight back, moving towards the left-hand side. Now he fires the ball into the box, which deflects away. It's headed clear by Ajayi back into midfield, but Boro recycling now here with Malanda down the left-hand side. He gets blocked off though by Coyle, and it is out for a throw. Just to remind you very quickly, it is Panda in goal for Hull, a back three of Ajayi, Egan and Hughes. Coyle, Slater, Brooks and Giles are the four in midfield with Balumi, Miller and McBurney as the attacking three for Boro. It is Bryn in goal with a back three of Ayling, Fry and Malanda. Britton, Morris, Brown and Target make up the four in midfield with Whittaker, McGree and Strelets as the three forward players. It's a throw on to Boro down the left-hand side. Target getting that ball in. Of course, Target would have been expecting to have played his former side in the semi-final. The talk of everything that's went with that first leg and then the second leg, all the talk of what's been happening over the last few days as well, of course, with the Hull City owner just in the last few hours saying that he still feels as though there may still be some legal action as to whether they should even be playing Middlesbrough at all. But Boro now pushing forward again down the left-hand side. Ball into Strelets is quickly cleared away. Whittaker now trying to play the ball that towards the penalty area. It's cleared back into midfield again, but Hull can't get hold of the ball right now as Target threads one down the left-hand side. A cross coming in, and it's a decent save in the end there from Panda. McGree wasn't too far away at all, but it's certainly Boro trying to set the early pace in this one.
Yeah, they've been on top in these first couple of minutes, and McGree firing across what was quite a dangerous ball. It was gathered fairly comfortably by Panda, but that's what you need more. Obviously, that's what you need to see, balls into the box, and I think Boro have had a bright start here.
Yeah, they certainly have. They want to really keep Hull away from the ball. I mean, Hull aren't the most expansive team anyway, so it may well be that Kim Helborg's made his players aware of it right from the start. But then they have to be careful, of course, because there is some pace in that Hull City counter-attack. But here's Ayling getting all the way forward. Was he brought down in midfield there? Our referee, Jared Gillet, says no, he was in a very good position. Holden just clear their lines, and the ball goes all the way through towards Bryn at the edge of the Middlesbrough penalty area. Fry actually mopping this one up. I thought there might have been a foul on Ayling there, but it's hard to tell just looking at it live.
Yeah, it was a ghosting run, wasn't it, by Ayling, as over the top for Boro. Offside given. It looked for a second there as if Whittaker was in on goal, but the flag is up. But yeah, it looked like a foul on Ayling as he was ghosting through, beat a couple of players. I think that's a really positive run and a positive start all round from Boro.
Absolutely, yeah. Ayling, of course, is a right back by trade. He's sort of been moved into a back three, as perhaps, dare I say it, as he's got a little bit older, maybe lost a little bit of his pace. But certainly that urge to try and get forward and take a player on is something that's definitely part of his game. Thinking then to Hull City, just at the edge of their own penalty area. Camera now focusing on Steve Gibson, who is a very long-standing chairman. We have been through the mill with Gibson as the owner, desperate to get back into the Premier League as Hull finally get a little bit of possession inside the Middlesbrough half. Britton with the block. It is a throw to Hull on the left-hand side. Ryan Giles across to take this one. Stealing a good few yards from where the ball went out of players, or trying to get that ball through to McBurney. He was well marshalled though by Ayling. Ball cleared into midfield. A little bit of awkward control there as Boro will try to get the ball away from their own half, and it's been quickly picked up again by Hull into the penalty area there by Giles. Cleared away, kept in play here by Charlie Hughes. Great run here from Hughes, getting all the way to the edge of the area now. Surrounded by Boro players though, drops the shoulder, thought about crossing it, then just lays it off for Giles. He then puts it in with his left foot, but the cross is too high. There wasn't anyone in the box anyway. But that cross is just catching practice there for Sol Bryn. Doesn't waste any time. He rolls it out towards Alan Brown. But that's what I was expecting, actually. The one side starts brightly and the other side has to respond with a little bit of energy themselves. Which
they did, which is really good to see. And it's, you know, it bodes well for the rest of this game that Hull, after maybe a couple of minutes of being on the back foot, have just whipped the ball into the box. There was a good run by Hughes, but as you say, absolutely no one there to greet it. So they're going to have to try and get men forward into the box. If they are playing, you know, slightly sitting back and trying to hit Middlesbrough on the counter-attack, they can't leave them isolated. They need to have players in the box when they get those chances.
They absolutely do. It's that fine balance of having that defensive approach, but also giving yourself an option once you actually do to get forward. 5 minutes on the clock in this playoff final. It is goalless, but it's a fairly bright start from Middlesbrough. Holden just trying to respond. Just to remind you, there is another game on our service right now as well. It is in the Scottish Cup. where Celtic have got an early lead against Dunfermline. Just seeing the first few minutes of that before our game started was pretty much one-way traffic in that game. So let's see if Dunfermline can respond with a little bit of attacking possession themselves. That game also on our servers. That was a 3 o'clock kickoff, by the way. This game is slightly unusual, sort of a 3:30 kickoff. It was originally supposed to be a 4:30 game with the previous opponents for Hull City, but now a free kick here to be taken by John Egan. There's an offside there against Strelets. The ball is a long ball down the right-hand side, just a little bit too much height on that one for Louis Coyle. Actually felt a little bit of pain as well as he's gone for that one. For a throw to Boro here on the left-hand side. We were saying off air before kickoff that with all the sort of the broken up preparations, who are Middlesbrough going to be in the final, they've suddenly had to start. I mean, from what we've heard, they've been training pretty much all the time since they lost to Southampton anyway. But although the Hull owner perhaps has gone a little bit too far by saying that regardless of the result today, he feels though his side have got some sort of legal scope, but there is some difficulty in knowing who you're actually going to play.
There is, absolutely, and who do you prepare for? I mean, preparations, you know, in this modern day of football, there's so much, you know, scouting of opponents. Some teams might take that too far, as we've seen, but you want to know what you're up against, and I think it's difficult mentality-wise, as it's well gathered by Panda in goal there for Hull, long ball forwards towards Whittaker. It seems like Boro are trying to use that outlet, you know, the long ball up towards Whittaker, but it's about these players focusing on the here and now, and I think that's what it comes down to.
No, it absolutely does. I think with the stakes being as high as they are, I mean, in fact, even Southampton in their sort of apology stroke sort of appeal in the week, even they mentioned the amount of money involved in this game. There's no hiding from it that it is. If this was just a case of being in an FA Cup final, it would still be a big deal, but it's the fact that it's the battle for promotion into the Premier League that makes it that much more significant. And I think that certainly we haven't heard the last of that whole situation. And of course, there's a whole FA investigation into Southampton, so we may actually find out that whilst a lot of people now feel as though the punishment was quite harsh, once the fullness of everything that they've done, because it does seem as though they were spying on other teams as well, may well be that the punishment was absolutely just. But here come Boro now. They're just trying to speed things up a little bit here in midfield. It's with Aidan Morris. Just slows down, gets that ball in towards Malanda. Back to Morris again. Options to send it forward. It just goes square towards Brown. He was being closed down immediately there by Liam Miller. It's out for a throw to Middlesbrough on the right-hand side. I mean, these playoff finals, they don't, taking what's happening this season aside, they tend to be quite cagey affairs, barring a few sort of one-off games. They don't tend to finish 4-3 or 3-2. They tend to be 1-0, 2-1 because there is just so much riding on it.
So much on the line, and I think if you do go on all guns blazing, you leave yourself vulnerable, don't you? And you don't want to give your opponents any real chances. That's well played by McBurney, isn't it?
Superb from McBurney, controls it and then backheels it into Miller, who tries an outside of the boot pass in towards Balumi. Just not quite enough height on that. Dale Fry is able to head that away, and then using the support of Ailing, Middlesbrough are able to get the ball under control. But now Morris being closed down inside his own penalty area there by Crooks. It's over towards Target on the left-hand side. He was being closed down by Balumi. And eventually Boro do just take the sting out of that Hull City press. Is now with Luke Ayling just at the edge of his own penalty area. They're going square to Dale Fry, who's serving Boro centre-back, now in towards Morris. Target being closed down immediately. Boro tend to have the freedom to move around in their defensive third, but as soon as they get into midfield, Hull are trying to press them.
It does seem that way. Boro definitely having the lion's share of possession so far, and maybe the script of the rest of the game is being written as Luke Ayling goes long for Boro.
Yeah, he tries one over the top. Britton was tracking that one, but it's always got a bit too much pace on that one, a bit too quick for Britton, and it's out for a goal kick. Slightly frustrated look on the face of Luke Ayling. Experienced defender, of course, as Kim Helberg. I have to say that Boro was sort of stop-start. I mean, they were there or thereabouts in the playoff fight before Helberg came along, but once he did, there seemed to be a style there, and also they were actually very close to securing automatic promotion at one point as well. Yeah,
absolutely. You wonder whether there'll be a sense of disappointment that they weren't able to do that, but then you have to recalibrate, don't you? You have to refocus and go again in the playoffs. And I do think that, to a certain extent, the whole league season goes out the window a little bit, and it's about what you can do on the day, isn't it?
No, it absolutely is. I mean, traditionally, the side that finishes sixth doesn't do the best in these playoffs, but that's not to say the side that finishes sixth never wins the final. It's very possible. There's a crunching challenge there from Crooks, and referee Jared Gillet says player. I think the Boro player is still down, but Boro actually have the ball in possession now with McGree. he goes back to Morris, but I think the players are going to make an executive decision themselves and that they want play to be stopped, because it looks like Alan Brown is in some pain there. And say, looking at it live, it didn't look like, I mean, the ball was there to be won. I mean, Matt Crooks is certainly not a midfielder that's going to shy away from a challenge, and it may well be that he's just left a little bit too much on Brown there. Ooh, the ball was there to be won, but does he actually tread on him a little bit?
I think he might. He's a bit. He's always studs.
Ooh, yeah,
it studs on the top of the foot, and well, we know that the referees don't tend to take too kindly to those, do they? That's.
I mean, there's not much. Even if the ball was there to be won, he's just going to be stabbing the ball with his foot. There's not really much attempt to actually win the ball there. I would say that there is more intent to try and catch the man than there is to play the ball there from Matt Crooks. And yeah, it's definitely there's not enough of a tread down, I think, to say it's a red card, but it probably should be a yellow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's late. Studs are showing. He sort of like clamps down on the top of the foot, doesn't he? I would agree, yellow card probably there, but looks to have got away with it.
Yeah, just a warning from Jared Gillet for now, as man who was hoping to be starting today, Hayden Hackney. He's just warming up on the touchline. Had injury problems most of this season. But certainly one of the brighter, more creative players for Boro when he is on form. There was talk that he was hoping to be in the starting 11 today. Couldn't quite get that fitness over the line, but Alan Brown is slowly picking himself up and making his way off the field. We've had 12 minutes in this playoff final so far. It is goalless between Hull City and Middlesbrough, and in fairness, it's not really been anything to threaten that scoreline so far. So hopefully, as both sides now settle down, it looks like quite a, I mean, it's a warm day across the country actually, compared to yesterday and compared to what we're expecting tomorrow and Monday. Saturday is actually a little bit milder, so I think all the players will be grateful that it's sort of lower 20s rather than the high 20s that we're expecting later this bank holiday weekend. But it's still a lot warmer than what they're being used to for most of the season. As we're back underway, a long ball over the top now from Ailing is heading away. The intended target, Whittaker, doesn't quite get on the end of it. Giles now has it for Hull City down the left-hand side. Back in towards Hughes. And yeah, the two sets of players just sort of easing themselves into this game, but there is always a danger that the closer it gets to, say, once it gets to an hour and it's 0-0, then both managers will be thinking, well, we're not losing this game, so at least keep what we've got.
Yeah, and I think that's why, as you say, it can get so cagey, because in the in the first portion of the game, you don't want to give too much quarter away, and then, as you say, you get close to the 90, and you don't want to give any more away, because you're closing in on drawing. You don't want to concede late, because that's when you're in big trouble. So I think this could be how this game pans out. Boro on the ball and Hull defending resolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, but the worry for Boro is, of course, if Hull in that period then get a goal themselves, it's a bit of a scuffle there in midfield. It's just Alan Brown potentially trying to get a little bit back on Crooks for that earlier challenge. Eventually the ball just squirms away and it's out for a throw. Ollie McBurney barely with the touch of the ball so far in these first 30 minutes, but then in fairness, David Strelitz at the other end, the Boro frontman, he's barely had a touch of the ball either. Certainly McBurney with 24 goals and assists this season. The Jan Republic of Swansea City having better numbers throughout the championship season, which in itself is very impressive. As here come Boro now down the left. McGree gets that ball into Whittaker at the edge of the area. The cross comes in. There was always a man blocking him, really. Could have tried to do a little bit more to get around John Egan, but it deflects out for a throw to Boro.
Does indeed. Whittaker looks dangerous. Whenever Boro are able to get the ball into him, he looks like he's trying to make things happen. He looks to be the bright spark. He's on the ball again here.
He is, yes, moving from left to right. I mean, he started the game on the right-hand side. He's on the left in now, playing a quick 1-2 there with Morris. The ball into the penalty is just a little bit too short for Strelitz, and it's played out into midfield where Ailing keeps the ball alive for Boro down the right-hand side. The pass, though, is blocked off by Miller, and then the ball out from Miller doesn't quite reach Crooks, and so Boro back in possession again here now with Aidan Morris. Didn't fancy a cross into the penalty area, just goes square to Ailing. Back to Morris again now, ball played towards the edge of the area. As a couple of attempts at a challenge there from Regan Slater. Eventually he loses the ball anyway, and a strike coming in. It's a very tame effort from Aidan Morris. He's looking like it's the most obvious thing that he should be getting a corner kick now. A couple of his teammates were asking the same question of the referee. Looking at it live, I couldn't really see much of a deflection there. We'll see from the replay whether or not... I don't think there was. I think he's just clutching at straws there. It was a very tame effort anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on first viewing whether that was a cross or an attempted a through ball or a shot, because he really doesn't catch it at all as he drags it across the face of goal, and it's nowhere near. I thought he may have been attempting a through ball there. It was that far off, and yeah, it was. I don't think he was ever getting a corner there.
No, it didn't look like there was any kind of deviation after it went past the defender there. I mean, if it ever gets to a point where they start using the snicko from cricket in football, which you couldn't rule it out. VAR just marked 5 or 6 in a few years' time. But anyway, back to the action. Here come Boro down the left-hand side, and now with Target now with a cross in. There's an appeal for a handball. I think Coyle was outside the box anyway, whether or not they would have decided that was a handball. Hull clear their lines, and then it's Balumi getting in the way out for a throw, which Boro take quickly. They're not wasting any time trying to set up a long throw. They just want to keep the ball in play. Target into McGree, now back to Morris, in towards Melander. He then threads a good ball back down the left-hand side. It's a low cross in from Target, a ball into the 6-yard box. Strelets ends up on the deck. I don't think there was much of an appeal for a penalty. It's cleared back into midfield. Fry heads it forward. Target then chests it down for McGree. Ajayi gets crunched there by McGree as he tries to win that ball back for Middlesbrough before eventually it's played over the top here by Louis Coyle. Balumi will chase that, but that goes straight out for a throw to Middlesbrough, and that's certainly the longest spell of attacking possession that Boro have had in this game so far.
Yeah, Boro turning the screw and piling on a little bit of pressure there with that ball into the box in towards Strelets, who did go down. As we said, it didn't look like a penalty, but yeah, Boro really the more threatening of the two sides so far, more of the ball, and actually now showing a little bit more attacking intent, particularly on the left-hand side as we see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Target has certainly been pushing forward down this left-hand side, linking up very well with McGree and with Brown. Now played back into midfield. Boro once again though pushing forward here with Callum Britton down the right-hand side, trying an early ball forward. It's well controlled there by Strelets, pass forward, and now it's back with Whittaker at the edge of the area, just trying to link up there with Brown. The pass is overhit, but it's kept in play here by Britton on the right-hand side, trying to get away from Giles. Can't get away from Giles. Giles puts the block in, and we have our first corner kick of the afternoon.
They look up for this, don't they, Boro? They're out the traps quickly. They've really started to pile on a bit of pressure, and more danger now for Hull to deal with from this corner.
There really is, and certainly the numbers are stacking up here for Boro inside the penalty area. Hull have plenty back as well. No surprise to see Ollie McBurney marking his opposite number there, David Strelets. The two big men trying to in a little bit of an advantage there as Ajayi now trying to get across to mark Adilson and Melander as well. You can see Fry and Ayling just lurking at the edge of the 6-yard box. It's going to be an in-swinger here from the right-hand side. Looks like it's going to be the left foot of Matt Target. It's a decent ball in, headed away at the near post. It's Crooks that gets his head to that. Ball still kept in play here by Ayling. Then it's McGree into Brown. Brown into the 6-yard box, and it's headed over the bar. Strelets has got to do better there. I just think he's not quite timed the jump to that ball, because by the time that ball arrives, he's already sort of up in the air and he couldn't really direct it where he wanted to. Yeah,
it's the best chance of the playoff final so far. It's well recycled by Ayling and played through the lines, crossed in, and yeah, he doesn't quite get over it, does he? It's a good opportunity. He's just on the edge of that 6. He's actually inside the 6-yard box and just doesn't get hold of the header, and it's always rising over the bar.
Yeah, he's not really had a touch of the ball so far as Strelets, but that's certainly the best chance he's had to try and break the deadlock in this game. Came from a corner kick for Middlesbrough, which was partially cleared, but then Boro getting a second chance, recycling the ball, getting it back into the penalty now. Long clearance here from Ivan Pander for Charlie Hughes, plays a ball over the top. Nobody in a Hull City shirt close enough to that. Ayling mopping up here for Boro. Scoring a square to Fry. With Matt Target playing the ball up towards the halfway line. Whittaker challenge there though from Crooks. That's up for a throw to Boro on the left-hand side. I did the second leg between Millwall and Hull, and I thought that what Hull did very well in that game was that they picked their moment, if you like, to score right at the end of the first half, and then at a crucial moment in the second half, just as Millwall were getting back into the game. I think the difficulty is if they try and employ the same tactic here today, it's not going to work as well, because Millwall didn't try and play as much as Boro are clearly trying to in this game today.
They had to soak up quite a bit of pressure throughout that semi-final, didn't they, with Millwall? But as you say, Middlesbrough so far have showed a willingness to play football, haven't they? And really played through the lines. As McGree challenging for the ball here.
He is, yeah, and Ajayi has just about done enough there to shield that ball away from McGree before McGree just plays it off. Well, actually, he gets the final touch. It's not going to be a corner kick. It's just out for a goal kick here to Hull City. 20 minutes on the clock. It is goalless in this playoff final. Manager's gone for the smart casual look today, a sort of a plain top with a sort of a blazer, a jacket on top of that. Certainly beats what the two managers had for the FA Cup final last week. Very casual, basically both in tracksuits, weren't they? Guardiola and Callum McFarlane as well. But certainly I think Kim Helberg will be the happier of the two managers that his side have done more from what he would have liked them to do. But then I suppose Jakirovic would
be positives for both managers. I think Helberg's Middlesbrough have shown more of the ball, they've shown more attacking intent. But as you say, if the game plan from Hull City is to sit back, soak up pressure, well, they haven't conceded yet, have they? So there are positives there.
Absolutely. Just to say as well very quickly, in the Scottish Cup final, it is now half-time between Celtic and Dunfermline. It is 2-0 to Martin O'Neill's Celtic there. So going to take a bit of effort now for Neil Lennon's Dunfermline to be able to turn that around in the second half. Jakirovic now just trying to bark out some instructions to his players. It's a throw onto Hull City. It's inside the Boro half on the left-hand side. Giles over to take this one. Foul throw there really from Giles, but it's just about allowed to continue. It's now Brown going a square towards Malanda, over towards Matt Target. Boro now in possession there, back inside their own half here. Target going a square towards Morris. Closed down here by Balumi, who's barely had a touch, and that's the way Boro want to keep it really, because Balumi, when he has got the ball, he's going to be Hull's most dangerous player. Well,
we saw that in the semi-final, didn't we? He was devastating and really changed that game for Hull, so they need to bring him into the game more, him and Ollie McBurney up top as well, because they've seen nothing so far.
As the ball goes over the top now, and Strelets will chase that. It just had a little bit too much bounce on that for David Strelets to be able to get on the end of it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing the long ball occasionally here. Boro have been trying to do things on the deck, but when they saw the chance to play that ball into Strelets, he is onside. Just bounced a little bit awkwardly right in front of him, but the throw on to Middlesbrough down the left-hand side, kept in play here by Malanda. Back towards Aidan Morris. And then back towards the halfway line here for Dale Fry. So the visitors now. The visitors are just with Hull being the nominated home side, I say, just listed as the first team. I was just
they're both visitors.
Yes, they are both visitors. It's not incorrect what I said, but I think you know what I mean. As Balumi now plays the diagonal ball over towards Miller. Finally, a chance for the two wide men of Hull City to link up, but Ayling is there, getting himself in the way, putting that clearance in, and it's back towards the halfway line now for Charlie Hughes. Hughes in towards Miller. Wants the ball early there. There's Giles. He gets towards the edge of the area. Good challenge there though from Britton. Avoids giving away a corner kick as well. It's now Liam Miller. He drops a shoulder, gets away from one, gets away from two, stands a ball up towards the back post. Coyle is there with the header, and it forces Britt into a save. I think that might have been going over anyway, but Solbrid doesn't want to take the chance. He palms it over, and from nothing really, Hull City have their first corner. We're also halfway through this first half. 23 minutes gone. It is goalless here between Hull and Middlesbrough, and we'll be Johnny to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. There wasn't really anything really on that header, was there, from Coyle? But you just have to make sure sometimes. I think that's what Bryn was doing. Not even sure if it was on target, as you say, probably going over the bar, but it will be a corner kick to Hull City. Their first of this game so far. They need to show a little bit of something. Not much so far by Hull. They've gone short. Balumi with the short corner. He'll receive it back and he'll go across the face of the box, on the edge of the box now. It's going to be fired over the bar and way over the bar there from Giles, the number 3, and that was always rising. And first real attempt at goal, but nothing to write home about.
Absolutely not. And I promise I won't use this reference too many times in this game, but that would have been fine as a conversion for Hull FC, really, wouldn't it, as to how much height he got on that. Now, with the temperature being over 20 degrees at Wembley today, we are going to have a short impromptu drinks break. Takes us back to the old COVID days, I suppose, and it's also a good warm-up for the World Cup. We're going to get these drinks breaks pretty much for every game, aren't we?
Absolutely, we better be getting used to this, I suppose, and it allows us to reflect on the first quarter of the match so far. So, who have you been more impressed with? I suppose Boro have started.
Boro have started the better. I think that from Hull's perspective, I've been impressed with the fact that they have set their stall out to sit back and soak up that Boro pressure. I mean, Panda's not really had to make a save, but then neither has Solbrid at the other ends. And I think both teams have probably done what they wanted to early on in terms of Hull just settling down and being difficult to beat, difficult to break down. Boro being the more expansive side. Now we need to see a little bit from both teams, because I think if Middlesbrough just allow the game to go as it is, there's always a danger that Hull can do something on the counter. But then from Hull's perspective, if they just sit back and assume that they can keep soaking up Boro pressure, well, if Boro score out of nowhere, then what do Hull do as a plan B to then get back into the game? So I think both managers could certainly say that they're quite pleased, but expect a little bit more. But from your perspective, do you think that either side need to change anything now before the break?
I wouldn't say before the break. Obviously, it's fairly obvious statement to make, but that first goal is crucial. It feels like the longer the game goes without Boro scoring a goal, with this dominance in possession and creating more chances, that will suit Hull. I mean, it's 77% so far possession for Middlesbrough, but with nothing to show for it in terms of goals, I think Hull will be happy the longer it goes along, because then their game plan starts to look like the right one, and then the feeling is, can we go and nick it?
Well, this is a fascinating stat we're just getting on our screens now. There have been 21 teams that have had over 54% possession in the 90 minutes, and only 2 of those teams have gone on to win in 90 minutes. There have been a few more that have won in the shootouts, but 16 of those sides have actually gone on to lose, which is
remarkable.
It is a crazy stat. It just goes to show that possession isn't everything, and actually sometimes it is just that having that one moment of brilliance, or indeed capitalising on that one mistake, that can be the difference in this game, because there is so much riding on it.
Nobody showed that stat to Kim Helberg, because he'll be sweating if he saw that one in the heat at Wembley. As we're back underway now after that brief drinks break, it's Luke Ayling on the ball. He's gone long out towards his left-hand side, but nobody appears to be there, so it will be mopped up, and Hull on the ball now can collect possession. They've gone all the way back, in fact, to Panda in goal. It's now on the left-hand side for Hull City. As they try and build a little bit of momentum, a little bit of possession, but they could lose it there. Very, very risky stuff. It was Hughes on the left-hand side. He's able just to fashion it back to Panda, but he was under a bit of pressure, and it's good pressing by Middlesbrough.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what Boro have to do as well, just because Hull are the defensive side. When they are in possession in their back three, their back four, that's when really Boro have to try and press and pick off any mistakes, because really at the moment Hull don't seem to have a plan at all in terms of just soaking up pressure, but then a long clearance there from the goalkeeper just sails out for a throw, and it's Boro back in possession. Yeah,
I think looking for Liam Miller there was Panda, but nowhere near him, sailed over his head, and we're just getting pictures now on our independent off-tube screens of Balumi, who we said earlier hasn't been in this game. The only real moment I remember was the short corner, which didn't really come to anything. It was a shot on the edge of the box that was always rising from Giles. They need to try and get him into the game, but it's Middlesbrough on the ball now. It's Ayling, who's gone long a couple of times. He's done it again, but it's going to be easily collected by Panda, who was looking for Brown, who was chasing after it, but wasn't ever really going to get there. And Panda on the ball now, drops it to his feet and rushes for his players to go long, which is all Hull have really been able to try and do so far, it feels. But he's gone short this time to Hughes, and now it's out onto this left-hand side. Miller is beaten to it, and it's smashed away by the Middlesbrough defence, and it'll go all the way back behind for a corner, looking for McBurney, another man who's not been in this game at all, really.
No, he's not. He's not been in the game at all, and Middlesbrough will be hoping that stays the case for as long as possible, because McBurney is without a doubt the biggest goal threat for Hull. But again, he only needs that one chance. If they get one through ball, one chance for him to head towards goal, then that could be all that he needs. But you just feel as though Hull have got to change a little something, risk a little bit more in midfield, because right now nothing they're doing in possession is really upsetting Boro at all.
Absolutely not, as it's long again by Panda, who's going to win this one. McBurney does well to flick it on, but it will be hoofed away by Middlesbrough, and it was Britain with that clearance, and it finds its way all the way midway into Hull's half, and they will have their throw-in on the left-hand side. It's an old cliche in these big moments, these big games. Will the occasion get to either side? I always tend to think that no, that's not the case. These are professional footballers. It'll be tactical. It'll be a bit of luck here and there. Do you think that we've seen any of that so far today?
I think that you can sum it up by saying that these are games that teams go out to not lose.
Yes.
Rather than perhaps an everyday Saturday league game at home where they would just go out to win and try and overpower their opposition. In this sort of format, it's almost like, well, obviously we don't want to lose the game, but that's almost where it stops. And certainly from the way from the first half an hour, it seems to me that Hull are very much of that approach. They're trying to not concede, whereas Middlesbrough are just being a little bit braver and actually trying to commit men forward and actually break the opposition down a bit.
As we saw from that statistic earlier, perhaps the defensive, pragmatic way that Hull have gone about this is the one that will bear fruit in the end. We shall see. Middlesbrough, in fact, incidentally, have never won at Wembley on 5 attempts, so can they book that trend today?
And to compound that even more, Hull have won 2 out of 2 playoff finals on the two occasions that they were here. I remember watching that final where Dean Windass scored that iconic goal that got his beloved Hull City into the Premier League all those years ago. So they do have previous of doing well in these finals, and they've actually just briefly now won themselves some midfield possession as well.
Yeah, Hull on the ball with Coyle. He goes backwards now towards Egan as Hull looking to try and just have a bit more of a spell. They haven't really had a spell so far. As Ajayi on this right hand side, he's gone all the way back to Panda, was forced into it. Bit of pressure by McGree, and that's all it took for Hull to go backwards once again. Here's Egan on the ball, goes back to Panda. I mean, it's possession, but it's not really probing possession, is it?
No, it's not. It's possession inside their own penalty area. Now the Strelets closing down on the Panda, forcing the goalkeeper just to clear it long. But again, the header's been won by Malanda, and it's Boro back in possession. So Hull need to find another way of trying to keep the ball. But from Middlesbrough's point of view, you could argue now as we get over the half-hour mark that maybe with their huge advantage, they should actually be doing a little bit more to test Ivan Panda in the Hull City goal. Yeah, absolutely. We haven't really seen him brought into action, Panda. In fact, the only real save of the game so far, it was sort of a half save by Bryn. It was a tame header that he just palmed over the bar to make sure, but that's some lovely play as through it comes as Ajayi clears up there. Middlesbrough look like they might be onto something there. It was Strelets who was tearing through, but in fact it was defended well by Ajayi. I think he might have even been brought down by Strelets in the end there as Ajayi was coming back. It was a heavy touch from David Strelets to start with, and yeah, I mean if that wasn't going out for a goal kick, it probably would have been given as a free kick anyway.
Yeah, it was a fairly light tap, I think. Strelets, yeah, he just sticks an arm out, and as soon as there's contact made, you know Ajayi's going down.
Ajayi would say the amount of times I've done that to strikers and I've given away penalties for it, why shouldn't I get a free kick occasionally?
Absolutely, and he did get a free kick, so he'll be happy about that one, and it will be a Hull City free kick deep in their own half. Strelets, another player we haven't seen too much of. We saw him tearing across the face of the goal as the ball came in from target earlier on, and he tried to get something on it, ended up on the Wembley turf, couldn't get there in the end, and once again there wasn't able to get onto the end of his own fairly heavy touch, as here's Luke Ayling for Middlesbrough. Malanda back to Ayling. He's gone along a couple of times, he shapes to go long again, takes a couple more touches, strides forward towards the halfway line, now looks to his left with Malanda, who is going to play it. In fact, decides against it, now goes through the lines looking for McGree. Middlesbrough try and fashion some possession of their own. Out to the right-hand side it comes with Britton. Now go back infield. And Middlesbrough definitely seem the more comfortable on the ball, the two sides, but as we've been saying, haven't really created any clear-cut opportunities. Ayling's had a lot of the ball.
He has, yeah, he's certainly getting involved a lot. I mean, what I've noticed in the last 10 minutes is that Hull's backline seems to be moving further forward, so it's congesting the field even more. That may be something that Jakirovic was saying during the drinks break, is that if we're not going to see much of the ball, at least let's keep it in midfield. Let's not have all of this Boro possession right outside our penalty area.
Ayling goes long, but it's easily cut out. It does feel like since that drinks break, this Middlesbrough possession has looked a little bit less threatening, as it's Coyle back to Ajayi. He goes long onto the right-hand side. Balumi does really well to keep it in, but there's nobody really there, and Ayling will mop up and go backwards to Fry, who's got to pick it out of the Wembley sun and does so well. And Middlesbrough now can come forward again with McGree, who takes the ball out towards the right-hand side. Will he use Britton on the outside of him? No, he'll use Whittaker, who hasn't really been in the game much since that drinks break. It seems like he's one of the players who's been phased out possibly by that tactical decision-making as the ball filters through towards Panda. Middlesbrough looking for a free kick, which they're not going to get. It was McGree there with his arms out to the referee. He thought he was bundled to the ground. It seemed a bit of a 50-50 to me.
It did, yeah. I think it was probably the right decision, referee, just to let that go. Players always going to try and ask for that kind of advantage. Bit of a battle for it there in midfield. Hull trying to get the second ball before it's then cleared long. And then Panda has to come out as he's being closed down by Strelets, and now potentially a chance for Boro with Whittaker. Yeah, Whittaker coming forward after that loose ball. Played out it was by Panda, and it's Whittaker who is shifting around, twisting, turning. He's gone down, he's rolling on the floor. He's not going to get a free kick there, but Middlesbrough are still on the ball as Whittaker's banging the ground. He's not happy at all with that one, and
looks like play is going to be stopped. It was Morris on the ball. No, they continue here with Brown. Looks for a second like Middlesbrough are going to clear the ball out, but looks like Whittaker is up, and he's okay now that this attack is able to continue, as here is Morris. And Brown now out to the right-hand side with Britton. And once again to Morris. Can Middlesbrough find a way through? They've been passing it about on the edge of the box, but nothing in terms of an incisive pass or a ball into the box. And in fact, they go backwards to Ayling. Hull doing a good job of marshalling them away.
They are, they really are. It seems like Hull have worked out a little bit of the passing patterns that Boro have, and it's just made it that bit more difficult as Whittaker now made the full recovery, chasing that ball down the right-hand side. I've often felt that a referee refusing to give a free kick is one of the best painkillers on the pitch that you can get.
Yes, it does seem that miraculously, when the attack continues, Whittaker looking around going, oh, actually, I should probably be a part of this. And he rises to his feet. As seeing the Hull chairman, who of course made a few waves going into this game, didn't they?
Yes, he did. Just a couple of hours before kickoff, he made the point that that he feels that his side should, in effect, have a bye into the Premier League, because they were expecting to play one team, and now they've been asked to play another team. And why is it the team that lost that semi-final? Why should they be playing them? It's going to make for a lot of fun and games. I suspect both clubs have got a team of barristers on standby regardless of the result today.
Absolutely, it feels that the end of the 90 minutes or even 120 minutes or even penalties will not tell the full story of this captivating playoff campaign that's had twists and turns. It's been a bit of a drama. They might make a TV show, they might make a movie out of this one day, as it's Middlesbrough now with a throw in on the right hand side. It looks like the long throw might be coming in. Fry is forward, it's actually gone short instead to Britton, who looks to try and fire a cross in, and it will be deflected behind for another throw in. And it looks like it'll be either Britton or Ayling to take it. Britton takes it, throws it to Ayling on this right hand side. He's going to go long into the box. We haven't seen much of that, and it's flicked on, but it's flicked behind. Not particularly dangerously. It was Brown with the header. I think he was just trying to flick it onto a teammate rather than direct it goalwards, but it sort of caught in between and just fell behind for a goal kick. But finally, Middlesbrough, rather than just passing it side by side, looking to get the ball into the box, so maybe that's something they might need to do more of.
They do. They have to now adapt to what Hull are doing. Hull are now pressing higher up the field. The offside line is higher, so it's more difficult for Boro to just thread that ball into the box. So they are going to have to try a few more diagonal balls. They are going to have to be a little bit more inventive with that. But in the meantime, we're not really seeing anything in terms of an attacking threat from Hull.
Yeah, and once again we see it was Liam Miller trying to flick the ball on, but nobody there. And once again, Middlesbrough can collect and come forward with the ball. Morris on it now, who's looking to try and dictate things. He goes long out towards this left-hand side and target, but it'll be hoisted away by Coyle for Hull, and now they will look to come forward. Balumi with a lovely through ball. Is he going to get there, Miller? No, it's well defended by Bryn, the goalkeeper, rushing out for Middlesbrough, and that through ball towards Miller looked dangerous, and it's the first incisive pass, the first bit of opportunism, perhaps you could say, that Hull have shown.
Well, it's the first time that Boro have had to backpedal, and actually that pass to Miller, if it was only a couple of yards off it, there was a chance, but here come Hull again now with Balumi at the edge of the area.
Yeah, Balumi fighting for it on the edge of the box, but the flag has gone up. Applause by Bryn as he receives a bit of adulation from his teammates and his supporters. It was cut out by Coyle in towards the middle of the park, and then it's flicked on. It's well worked actually by Hull. Balumi with the through ball. It's well weighted, but it's actually off the line, off his line. Bryn was really quick and alert to it. I wouldn't say that was a poor pass. I'd say that's good goalkeeping.
It is good goalkeeping. No, I have to say it's just one of those where, say, if Miller was half a yard quicker, if the pass had a yard less on it, or if indeed Sol Bryn was a second or two later coming out for that, then there would have been a really good chance. But that's the kind of opportunity that Hull are going to try and find if Middlesbrough do lose the ball in midfield. But here come Boro again.
Malander out to the right hand side with Britton, and now back to Ayling, and Malander again towering in the middle of the park. He's looking for a through ball. He doesn't find it. He goes short to Whittaker, who looks to try and accelerate away before passing sideways to target the number 3. Goes back inside. Here is Whittaker. Tries to flick the ball round the corner. It's going to be collected by Brown. Middlesbrough on the ball, trying to build more pressure now after a little bit of a threat from Hull, a little bit of a shot in the arm perhaps from Middlesbrough to try and slow this game down and get back in control of the tempo, with Luke Ayling inside the centre circle. Surveys the scene, puts his foot on the ball, not much movement in front of him, so he goes sideways to Malander. The number 29. He tried to go through the lines, and it's well worked actually by Middlesbrough. This McGree out towards target on the left-hand side, goes for the early ball. Ajayi will clear. It's now going to be Whittaker, but he's lost out. Can they recycle? Looks like they can. They've got a ball out onto the left-hand side. It's McGree on the ball. He now goes to Morris and Melander with the ball in, but it's nodded away, and Hull survive. Middlesbrough will pick the pieces. This looks a little bit more like the first 10 minutes did.
No, it does, absolutely. We're back to a situation now where perhaps just with Boro having that possession again, they are forcing Hull back, but you can see straight away Hull are pushing that back three up as high as they can, just to make it more difficult for Boro to get close to the penalty area.
Here at Middlesbrough again, and it's a lovely ball in towards McGree, who looks for Whittaker, who does get a shot on goal, but it's very tame, very weak. He was off balance there, actually well marshalled by the Hull City defence, but that's a nice ball through by McGree, but he just gets no power on the ball. And it was actually well defended in the end by Hull City as Panda goes long. Luke Ayling does well to pluck it out of the air and come forward. It's wave and wave, wave after wave of Middlesbrough possession. Can they fashion anything out of it? McGree coming forward for them now, the number 8 surging forward, and it's toe poked towards goal, and actually might have been blocked by Whittaker there as the shot came in and the flag goes up. It was Strelitz trying to get the shot off, but I do think it's deflected off Whittaker from an offside position. Let's have a look at our replay. It does indeed.
It does, yeah. I mean, Strelitz certainly wasn't offside. Whittaker, I mean, looking at that replay,
looks on.
He could have been level there himself, but I don't think there was much power in the effort from Strelitz anyway. It was he was trying to guide it with the toe end, and I don't think there was much danger of that beating Panda in any case. But it's these little glimmers that Boro are trying to find at the edge of the area now. They just need to try and get Strelitz into a slightly better position.
Yeah, ever since that half chance for Hull City, it has been all Middlesbrough. But here come Hull City with Liam Miller on the left-hand side. Checks back and goes backwards and infield. Can Hull City create anything? Now they look to work it out towards Balumi, who shoots from range. Oh, it's bending and it's just wide. And for a second there, we saw Bryn scampering across his goal line. It was bending, it was dipping. It was a delicious effort. It wasn't quite on target from Balumi. They need more of him in the game because he looks like he can produce something.
No, absolutely, and so that would be typical Balumi to have no possession, do nothing in the game, and suddenly just ping one into the top corner from outside the penalty area. But on that occasion, doesn't quite wrap his foot around it enough and didn't have enough curl on it. But that's what Hull are going to try and do, try and get Balumi into the game a bit.
Absolutely, and it was a decent effort. It did have Bryn scampering for just 1 second, as we are now 42.5 minutes into this first half of the playoff final. McGree on the ball now, looks wide for Target, who's joining him. The ball into the box, smack into the face of Egan, but it's to be cleared away of Coyle, excuse me. But here come Middlesbrough, whipped in by McGee and really well dealt with by Panda. Had to get a finger on that. It was a dipping ball, it was curling in, and he strode out of his box and just clawed it away from danger. And Hull City are able to survive with Giles, who's battling with it with Brown. Finds Miller as he tries to accelerate away. The ball is going to go out for a throw-in, but that's really alert goalkeeping by Panda.
Oh, it really is, because when McGree gets this opportunity, puts this ball in, it's a decent ball as well. I mean, he has to try and do something, because although there are no Boro players moving towards the ball, it's that close to his 6-yard box, he can't take a chance. He has to come out and try and do something, and he gets at least a powerful hand to it.
Does really well as well to palm it away from danger. Could quite easily have palmed it back into harm's way, but did not do so. Was flicked on here, and Liam Miller is now battling with it for Hull, but it will fall for Britain. And Middlesbrough once again coming forward with Luke Ayling, who it seems whenever the play needs to be restarted, he's the man trying to get it going. But Ajayi's just won the ball away from McGree, and now Balumi will come forward for Hull, but it's a 50-50 in midfield. Is he going to win out? He does really well actually to find McBurney, but he's dispossessed. Now it comes out to this right-hand side with Coyle and Ajayi, and now it's a chance for Hull City to get their foot on the ball. Balumi round the corner to McBurney, back to Balumi. Looks like the impetus has come out of this attack. Can they find some more in as McBurney's ball is towards the left-hand side, and Giles will come forward with it. Finds Liam Miller, who runs at Britton. He's doubled up on by Britton and Brown and has to go backwards to Giles, but I think Hull will be happy just to have a bit of the ball in the final third as we tick towards the 45th minute. and it's Hull coming forward for the first time, one of the first times in the half that has been dominated possession-wise by Middlesbrough. Ball into the box, and it's scrapping with it is McBurney, and it's off the crossbar. He wants a penalty, does he? He's been pulled down. It looked like there was shirt grabbing in there. Does really well to win the header. The ball's whipped in. McBurney has just hit the upright, and there is a little bit of shirt pulling there, but he does get the header away.
He does. I mean, trying to sort of lip read what McBurney was saying to the linesman, I think he was asking for a penalty. I think he's clutching at straws there because he's doing more of the pushing, really. I think he was also saying our ball, so that it may well be that he felt he got a deflection off Malanda. I've got to say, I don't see that in the replay either. I think it is just McBurney straight in to go after the ball, and it's cannons off the upper side of the crossbar there. But that's the kind of it's taken a long time for Hull to really put any pressure on Middlesbrough, but that's certainly the most pressure that Boro felt in the half so far.
Absolutely off the crossbar for Hull. The first half of this Championship playoff final that has been dominated in terms of possession and chances as well, you would say, by Middlesbrough, but possibly the biggest one of the game so far falling to Ollie McBurney, who was battling away for it, did well to get a header on the ball, and in fact was able to direct it onto the crossbar. Unlucky not to put Hull City in front at Wembley, but as things are, it's still 0-0. 3 minutes have been added on at the end of this first half. A gripping first half, that's the word I would use. It hasn't been explosive, but we've seen Middlesbrough with most of the ball, Hull sitting in, doing well to marshal them. I've had a couple of chances. It's switched by Middlesbrough to Target, who plays it across, away by Ajahi, and well dealt with, and Hull can hook it further away, and in fact it will fall for McBurney. Can he hold it up? He does really well to find Giles on this left-hand side. Is there one more chance in this first half here? Hull have had the biggest chance of the half, but they haven't had many of them. It's Liam Miller on the ball, goes backwards. Hull just take this thing out a bit before going long towards his right-hand side, looking for Balumi. Will they find him? No, it's not in behind. It's well dealt with by Malanda, but it will be a throw-in to Hull City as we reach the end of this first half. Right-hand side, it's Coyle who looks to take it and leaves it for Balumi. Are we going to see the ball into the box here from the throw? A couple of steps back, a couple of paces taken by Balumi. Looks like he's going to run up. The referee ushers to him to move back slightly. He tries to steal a few yards. One of the chances of him making these yards back up as he launches the ball back in. It's looking for McBurney. It's going to be nodded across the box and nodded back in fact, and it's well claimed, well won by Bryn, and he looks to fire it forward quickly. Middlesbrough not waiting around here towards Whittaker, who does well to control it for Strelitz, and now forward comes Strelitz for Middlesbrough, fires it just wide, and he did well to bring the ball under control and fashion a shot away. It was launched forward by Bryn. It was Whittaker who brought the ball down, found Strelitz, but his shot was tame and just rolling across the Wembley turf, and never really threatening Panda, who made it look a little bit better with a dramatic dive, but not really under any pressure.
No, he's not under pressure there. I mean, Whittaker potentially might be a little bit disappointed he didn't get the ball back from his teammate, but then he put himself into a position where he was being well marked and he was a little bit too far wide on the left-hand side, but a decent side to there for Strelitz, and a bit more excitement towards the end of this half.
Yeah, a few more chances coming for both sides, and that is the half-time whistle. After 48 minutes, it's been a gripping first half of the Championship playoff final, but neither side able to find the back of the net. Probably the biggest chance for Ollie McBurney, who hit the upright, but it is Hull City 0, Middlesbrough 0.
Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelitz has had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect. Both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away, 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect, both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Half-time at Wembley Stadium in the much-mentioned final between Hull City and Middlesbrough. It is goalless. Boro having more of the ball, having more of the attacking possession, and a couple of early chances. Whittaker broke into the box, couldn't get a shot away. Strelets has had a header which was over the bar and an effort which was dragged wide. Other than that, Hull City have gone up the other end. McBurney crashed a header off the bar towards the end of the half, and there was a half chance for Balumi, but he sent a curling effort wide. A nervous final, as you would expect. Both sides not wanting to give too much away. 0-0. Let's say a very warm welcome back to second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at Wembley Stadium. Goalless between Hull City and Middlesbrough. Perhaps it's no surprise when you consider just how much is at stake. Both sides not wanting to give too much away. Certainly Middlesbrough the more expansive of the two sides in the first 45 minutes, and it may well be that kick-off in the second half already has a little bit of life to it, because it's Hull sending the ball back towards their own keeper, and Panda's clearance is actually charged down by David Strelets, but the ball deflected out for a goal kick. So now Panda gets a second chance to launch it long, which he does. He gets the ball up towards the halfway line before Boro win it back now, and it's Ailing's ball down the right-hand side, which is cut out by John Egan. Well, we're hoping for a little bit more in terms of attacking play in the second half. It's myself, Paul Shmakovic, and Johnny Holmes taking to the action. Johnny, probably Boro would say Boro were the better side, but not really too much work for Ivan Panda in the whole goal.
Yeah, nothing to show for it, and we were saying in the first half that the longer that goes on, the more it might suit Hull City's game plan, which seems to be to sit in, to absorb this pressure, to hit on the break, to try and fashion one or two, almost like a smash and grab style game plan. And so far you have to say that's working, because it's still level. The question for Boro might be, as we also discussed off air, is will we see Hayden Hackney today? He's a bit of a tempo setter, a player that could come on and change things for Boro.
Absolutely, he is on the bench. Whether or not we see him in the second half. Now a long ball for Melling, played towards the edge of it. It's headed down. It's Whittaker's strike, which takes a deflection and goes wide. Quick combination play there from Boro at the edge of the area, and it's John Egan that gets in the way of that, and it deflects away for a corner. But it was Ailing's ball from the halfway line, headed down. It was McGree down towards Whittaker, and the effort deflects off Egan.
Yeah, it was a good header down to him, and Whittaker catches it well, in fact, and it's well defended, well blocked behind, and an early corner here for Middlesbrough as they look to try and make something happen early in this second half.
Absolutely, ball on the right-hand side. Boro now attacking the end where the Hull fans are. It's just a little bit unfortunate that that's the way it's worked out for them, and indeed for Hull in the second half. But it's Target now into the 6-yard box, headed across goal, and it's back in towards the 6-yard box. McBurney's underneath that. Well, it's Target's ball into the 6-yard box, is headed away, and then it was Fry at the back post heading it back towards goal before it was McBurney making sure it goes out for a corner.
Echoes at the start of the first half where Middlesbrough came out of the traps and had a couple of early half chances. Can they make one of these pay?
Corner kick then to be taken, you'd imagine, by the same taker here. Matt Target is back on that left-hand side, on that right-hand side, I should say. It's an in-swinger from the left footer, puts a bit more height on this one. It's towards the back post. Header from Dale Fry is over the bar. That's certainly some joy, I think, that Boro could get from a set piece, because Fry pretty much unmarked there at the back post.
Yeah, you can't leave such a tall, imposing player like Fry unmarked at the back post as he was there, and he does well to get his head on it, but really should he be doing better as he sort of wrestles his man to the ground. Physicality, strength, but just sees the ball nestle on top of the net.
Well, it may be that Hughes just about got enough of his body in the way of Fry, that Fry was concentrating too much on the whole defender rather than actually trying to get that header on target. But it wasn't too far away. Long clearance then from Panda back into Middlesbrough possession here. Ailing, crunching challenge there from Regan Slater. But yeah, quick high five there with Ailing. No issues there at all. Obviously, Ailing himself feeling as though that was a firm but fair challenge, although the veteran is just needing a little bit moment there to pick himself up. I said that they high-fived each other, but it may well be that Ailing's not actually as happy about that as he initially suggested. That's not a good challenge there from Regan Slater at all.
It's a crunching tackle, isn't it? And does he get the ball, I wonder? I think that might be the only reason why Ailing would be in any way happy with it, but yeah, play continues.
Yeah, it is with Luke Ailing now, just at the edge of his own penalty area. Looked up and thought about playing it long, but just decides to go square towards Milan. Just to remind you as well, no changes at half-time, so it is Panda in goal for Hull, and it's a back three of Ajayi, Egan and Hughes. Coyle, Slater, Crooks and Giles at the four in midfield with Balumi, Miller and McBurney. As the attacking three for Middlesbrough, it is Bryn in goal with a back three of Ailing, Fry and Malander. Britton, Morris, Brown and Target are the four in midfield with Whittaker, McGree and Strelets as the attacking three. Long ball now towards McBurney here for Hull. That one's been cleared away. It's into midfield here. Slated as well to hold off 2 challenges. Strelets felt he was being pushed off the ball there by Charlie Hughes. Our referee, Jared Gillet, disagrees. And then it's with Egan sending it back towards goalkeeper Ivan Pandor over the halfway line. Real tussle there between Fry and McBurney. Fry wins the ball, but he only plays it away towards Ryan Giles here for Hull City. So he's left half a chance of some attacking possession down the left here. Giles then finding Miller, trying to dance away from 2 Boro players. In the end, just cuts it back in towards Crooks. He then goes square towards Hughes. Back towards Giles here on the left-hand side. Takes a touch and then whips a ball in, which for a second there I thought might just be angling towards goal. In the end, it doesn't quite have enough height. For a second there, Bryn was backpedaling, but in the end, the goalkeeper could see it's going to go out of harm's way. Yeah,
he was looking nervously over his shoulder, wasn't he? Hoping not to see the ball just nestle in that back of that net. But it seems that Hull are at their most dangerous when they can get their wide players, Miller and Balumi, into the game. When the game is stretched for them, possibly on the counter-attack, getting those players involved could be the key to Hull finding some momentum in this game.
I think so. I think certainly it's Miller and Balumi are the 2 players that can make something out of nothing for Hull City, and you just feel that they're going to need that little bit of extra something in this game, because from open play as it stands, it's hard to see where Hull are going to get a goal from, because just not able to commit the numbers forward. They have got a throw here in Middlesbrough territory. It's a long throw here from Giles, headed on by McBurney. The second ball won't get through towards Miller, but then a risky ball from McGree at the edge of his own area, gives it away to Crooks. He then goes back to Ajayi, and now it's down the right-hand side. Balumi in towards Coyle, into Crooks. Oh, that's a very tame header. He was in such a good position there, Matt Crooks, and then Miller chasing that ball. He won't keep it in play, though. It will be out for a goal kick to Middlesbrough. I suppose from Hull's point of view, they'll be thinking, why couldn't it have been McBurney heading that one?
Yeah, so much time and space there, Crooks, near the penalty spot, and he just gets nothing on the header. It's a real tame effort, looking completely unmarked. I think Ailing spots him late and tries to dash out to try and greet him, but has a lot of time to work out what he's going to do.
No
with that
lift
one.
in that jump, was there? There was absolutely no sort of power in that header. And as I say, I don't want to do Matt Crooks a disservice, because he is good with his head, but potentially if McBurney in that same position might have just been able to fashion a bit more of a chance. But now it's Matt Target forward here for Middlesbrough. The pass doesn't get through to Strelets, though. One back here by Hull City with Coyle going into Slater. That's a heavy pass forward, though. That's cuts out and actually deflects off the Hull City man. So it is up for a throw to Boro here on the left-hand side. Taken quickly. It's with Strelets now. He just gets the ball tangled in his feet. Hull City now have it back here with Regan Slater, switching play out towards the left-hand side now for Ryan Giles. Over the halfway line, has a couple of options. Miller, McBurney and Balumi are all ahead of him. Just cutting it back now towards Crooks. Inside the centre circle now here for Hull. Still struggling to get any kind of midfield possession, although saying that the graph in terms of where the action's happening in these first 8 minutes of the second half would suggest that most of it's actually happening in Boro's final in Hull's final third.
Yeah, it does seem to me that Hull have actually been able to get on the ball a little bit better so far in this second half. I mean, it was quite congested. They were quite defensive in that first half of the final, but they have been. Oh, it's a bit of a rugby tackle in there.
Oh, there is, yeah. It's a little bit of frustration there from Slater. He feels as though there might have been a free kick in his favour, but actually the ultimate foul there was from Slater on Brown. And Boro have taken the free kick short. It's now back with Luke Ailing. Say it's a long list of subs for both sides, but we've obviously mentioned Hayden Hackney as one option in terms of an attacking threat. They do have an option of Sarmiento. They do also have Castledine as well. As far as Hull are concerned, well, there are a couple of options. Kumas is on the bench as an attacking option. Gelhardt is there as well. Potentially both managers have got a couple of options. Hayden Hackney is warming up once again. We saw him warming up in the first half for Middlesbrough as well. I think it's inevitable that he gets on at some point, but then you have to time it right as well, because if Boro are down 1-0 with 20 minutes to go, Hackney's coming on to try and save the game. That won't be ideal. You want him really in a position where it's either level or maybe even as a bit of a finisher when Boro are already in front in the game.
Yeah, and Boro had so much possession in that first half. I think he would have really suited it, controlling things in that midfield. But now it feels like Hull are able to get their foot on the ball and are coming forward a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Ailing's going to try and win himself a free kick there, and he's done well enough there. He had his body in front of the ball, just drawing Balumi, and Balloumi's almost like there's nothing I can do there. Well, he's almost right there, Balloumi, in so much that in that position, once Ayling's got his body in front of the ball, he's basically given Balloumi two options. Either you let me turn and clear it, or you foul me. There's not really a third option there for him.
Yeah, as soon as Ayling feels contact, we see it, don't we, just across the world of football. There's a defender with his back, he's facing his own goal. He feels any contact in the back, he's going down and he's winning a free kick.
Yes, he is. He's going to try and do whatever he can just to try and take that pressure off. As here come Boro now. Nice bit of link-up play here between Strelec and Whittaker, and it's Strelec into the box. He wants it on his left foot, just covering challenge at the last second there. Combination of Giles and Hughes win the ball back for Hull City. Is now with Miller for Hull, going square towards Slater. Now down towards the right-hand side here for Coyle, back in towards Ajayi, over the halfway line. A pass forward is cut out here by Alan Brown, and here come Boro now over the halfway line. Brown, he gets stopped by the big frame of Ajayi, and that's a lovely run down the right-hand side here from Balloumi. That's what he can do. Balloumi into the box. He's looking for the run of McBurney. It's cut out at the edge of the 6-yard box there by Dale Fry, and in the end a bit of a rushed clearance. I don't think that's been kept in play. It hasn't been kept in play. It's out for a throw onto Hull. But yeah, you're absolutely right what you said there, Johnny, that in the last few minutes there just seems to be, it's almost like Hull being that little bit more expansive has almost shocked Boro, and they've got into their shell a little bit now.
Yeah, we see Jakirovic getting the crowd going. They are really playing their way into the second half. They're looking dangerous with their width, where they've got pace on the break. Not even on the break at times. It seems they've had their foot on the ball more often. And Hull looking much more dangerous than they have at any point of this playoff final so far.
Well, they have, and from Hull's point of view, I think that they need to try and maintain this, of course, and they also can't get too carried away. It's a fine balance, isn't it? Because if they start thinking that they've got Boro on the ropes, they might commit that extra man from midfield forward, and all of a sudden Boro can hit them on the counter. So it's very finely poised, but here is Whittaker now trying to get something started for Boro. Just leaves the ball here for Brown. It's about 35 yards out. Brown trying to swing a ball into the penalty area. Was aiming for Strelec. That one is cleared away by Egan. It's bouncing around on this right-hand side here as Boro look is out for a throw, and Middlesbrough now still in possession in the final third as Brown sends the ball back towards Luke Ayling. Looking up, it's still quite a high offside line here from Hull, but it's Whittaker. He gets bumped in the back there by Miller. I thought that could have been a free kick, but the referee says no. Slater now has it for Hull, goes square towards Louis Coyle, and he's over the halfway line, heading towards the Middlesbrough penalty area. Switches play over towards the left. That's a good ball. It bounces just in front of Liam Miller, just at the edge of the area now. Miller trying to drop his shoulder. There's an overlap there as well, but Miller wants to go all by himself. Then he rolls it back towards Crooks. Crooks at the edge of the area. Balloumi then trying a little back heel, perhaps a little bit too elaborate on that occasion, because it was too short there in the end for Ollie McBurney. But yeah, all of a sudden Hull are clicking in that final third.
They are. I think it was too cute that from Balloumi. I'm not sure he had his wits about him in terms of where his runners were, and he just kind of played that little flick, the little back heel, but it was straight into the Middlesbrough defender. But this is fantastic from Hull, just what Jakirovic would want to see from them coming out of the traps in the second half. Middlesbrough were quite quick immediately, but since then, first 5 minutes, Hull City have been in the ascendancy, and they've now got the ball. They look comfortable.
They do, albeit just as we say that they are back inside their final third, but they certainly have their tails up now, do the Tigers, and it's just a case of whether or not Middlesbrough are able to counteract that, whether or not Hull are able to pounce on that and actually get a lead during this bright spell. But they've won the ball back inside their own half. McGree with a bit of a heavy touch, and then Hughes as well, just to deflect that ball off for Riley McGree, and it's out for a throw to Hull City here on the right-hand side. Referee just not sure what the referee was doing there. He was just stopping play very briefly. Camera now focusing on Boro chairman Steve Gibson. Their record at Wembley isn't great. Losing in 1990, in 97, twice in 97, and then in the 98 before losing in 2015 in the playoff final. Worth pointing out that those two defeats in 97 also came with a relegation as well. It was a horrendous season for Middlesbrough. Got to 2 cup finals, so they could have had a cup double. They ended up losing in both of those, and they got relegated with a points deduction for failing to play a fixture against Blackburn. They basically just decided that they were going to cancel the game themselves because of so many players being ill and injured. But yeah, a long time ago that, but it was Boro have been sort of always there or thereabouts in trying to get back into the Premier League, and they're trying to get forward here now as Whittaker's ball at the edge of the area, trying to back heel it to Strelec. It's been cleared away, and suddenly opens up here for Hull on the left-hand side. Had it not been for the last-ditch challenge there from Luke Ayling, and he timed it to perfection because Miller would have been away down that left-hand side, and Ayling now brings the ball forward himself.
That was a fantastic sliding challenge by Luke Ayling. If he gets that wrong, he's in massive trouble, because he would have seen it would have been Miller would have gone beyond him, would have been in on goal there. So that he had to get that challenge right, Luke Ayling, and he did absolutely superbly.
Yeah, he did very, very well indeed to just kill that attack. It's stone dead, and now Boro in possession here, albeit it's still a long way from Hull City's goal. It's now back on the halfway line here with Luke Ayling. Joe Gelhardt looks like he's going to be the first substitute brought on in this playoff final. The Hull City forward to see who he comes on for, but now here come Boro with Brown just at the edge of the area. Tries to get a ball through. Streles then back heels it to McGree, but Egan is in the way. Long clearance there from John Egan, ball bouncing in. Malanda does well to head that and keep it in play. Boro still have possession in midfield now with Morris. Gets that ball in towards McGree, and here's a chance now for Whittaker. The ball drops, he's been blocked, and then it's Streles with an effort. His effort is charged down as well. Boro now have it back on the right-hand side here with Callum Britton. His cross gets a deflection, but it deflects the opposite way to what you would expect. It doesn't go out for a corner, it deflects back into midfield, and now it's Miller with a body check there from... I thought there might have been a foul there, but the referee allows play to go on, and that's a good choice from Jared Gile as far as Hull are concerned, because the long ball does reach Balumi, and he's breaking into the penalty area. Cuts back onto his trusty left. Oh, it's such a tame effort. I thought I was going to see a carbon copy of what I commentated on at the New Den when he scored that goal on the counter against Millwall, but there he just never wrapped his foot around the ball, and it was a very tame effort.
It was a tame effort. Did really well though to get into that position, and it was a lovely ball out to the right hand side to find him, and he was able to fashion it onto his left foot, cutting inside, trying to bend it, trying to whip it into that far corner, but maybe didn't set it out too wide, didn't set it out wide enough, and it just bent into the arms, into the thankful arms of Bryn.
An easy one there for Sol Bryn in the end. But yeah, the game's certainly opening up. I think that there's, with these playoff finals, whilst it is still 0-0, there's always a decent chance it could end 0-0 after 90 minutes. But something tells me that there is a goal in this game somewhere. There just seems to be a little bit more urgency from both teams now, particularly from Hull. They really have stepped things up in the second half, and that has perhaps affected Boro's plans a little bit. But it may, in many ways, it's going to force Kim Hellberg's hand that they have to do something, because they can't afford to just wait to see if Hull do score. They need to try and score themselves. I'll get your thoughts on that in a second here, because now here come Hull City down the right hand side. Ajayi lifts. Oh, that's a centre back trying to be a midfielder there, Sammy Sk. I hope you won't mind me saying that, but he lifts that one a long way over, and it's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's an overhit ball. This is all very positive signs from Hull City, who really seem to have got a foothold in this game. They look dangerous whenever they come forward. Make a change now, in fact. I'm surprised to see that, I have to say. Liam Miller, I think, has been one of their more dangerous players whenever he's got the ball, but he's actually coming off now.
I mean, it's a like-for-like swap, in so much that Jakirovic doesn't like to have too many forward players on the field at once. I think that if Hull were maybe chasing the game, there's an argument to say that maybe Canadian Liam Miller would have stayed on the field, and Gelhardt would have come on as well, but that would have involved taking off somebody like Crooks or Slater, which just would have left Hull a little bit too exposed, I think, in terms of central midfield. So Joe Gelhardt, of course, Leeds low knee, he comes on, and he'll be on that left-hand side. And just as we say that, once again, they're showing us Hayden Hackney warming up, but he's not coming on the field for the time being. It's 63 now minutes on the clock here at Wembley Stadium. It is goalless between Hull City and Middlesbrough. Can tell you that it's into injury time in the Scottish Cup final, where it's 3-1 to Celtic against Dunfermline. So Dunfermline are getting a consolation goal late on there, but they won't do anything now with that game into the 5th minute of added time. And just a reminder as well that all the action from the final day of the Premier League is on our service tomorrow. All 10 games will be on our service, but I'll break off from that, because here come Boro. McGree with a great run out towards Brown. His cross is deflected up in the air. Brown chasing the second ball. It's nodded clear by Egan back into midfield, where Morris now is square to Britton. Here's Brown again. That's another poor cross. A couple of poor deliveries there from Brown. The first one charged down, and the first one a long way away from any teammate.
Yeah, it was indeed. It's the first time that Middlesbrough have come forward in the last 10, 15 minutes or so. We were talking about what Middlesbrough might need to do to change things here. Well, it seems like Hayden Hackney is the name of the person who's going to try and do that. He's been warming up, it seems, for most of this match so far.
Yeah.
Hasn't actually come onto the pitch yet, and at some point, surely, we're going to see Kim Hellberg make that substitution.
Yeah, I would guess it's either going to be for Brown or Morris. One of those two players, I would imagine, will be getting the hook to allow Hayden Hackney to get on the field. But for the time being, it's a throw to Hull Around about the halfway line on the left-hand side, a bit of a shank ball up in the air there from Louis Coyle, but it does actually reach its intended target of Ryan Giles on the left-hand side. He goes in towards Gelhardt. It's his first touch since he's come on the field, back with Giles. Gelhardt again, 30 yards out from goal. There's two teammates waiting at the edge of the area, but plenty of red Boro shirts in between them. Crooks now in towards Slater. Now towards Gelhardt. Here is Regan Slater now into midfield. That ball is purposely left there by Hughes. He lets it go through towards Ajayi. Now it's a left-footed ball in from Coyle. Good header away from Dale Fry. Fight for it in midfield as the ball eventually is put out for a throw here by Hughes. He was just getting into a little bit of a tussle there with David Strelitz out for a throw to Middlesbrough here on the left-hand side. Matt Target is waiting to take it. And now we can see a load of Middlesbrough fans standing up, and now we can see why, because Hayden Hackney, very popular with the Middlesbrough fans, is ready to come on. He's not quite coming on yet, but you'd imagine the next time the ball goes out of play, he will be coming on, and just that reaction from the Boro fans tell you that will be a lift for the fans and potentially a lift for his teammates as well.
Absolutely, you can see just how much they believe that Hackney can make a difference in this game. Of course, he's been out for so long with injuries as well. I think that might be just another reason for the goodwill towards him. Great to see him potentially and probably getting back onto the field, but that's not all they'll want, the Middlesbrough fans. They'll want to see him make a crucial difference in one of the biggest games of all.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, he's been listed as injured since the middle of March. He had a couple of short-term fitness issues throughout the season as well. He's seen the best of Hayden Hackney this season, but if he can come on and do something here in the last 25 minutes of this playoff final, well, that will certainly cement him as a legend status at the Riverside. Boro inside the Hull City half now, but a long way from goal. It's now with Aidan Morris to Ayling. The right-hand side just about kept in play there by Britton. Goes towards the edge of the area. Heavy touch there from Whittaker, but he keeps that ball away from Gelhardt. It's back with Britton. Now Morris. Midfield back towards the halfway line now for Ayling. Morris again. This one back towards Dale Fry. Back to Morris. The visitors. Once again, I keep calling Pro the visitors. It's just a slip of the tongue. But in any case, the ball does go down the right-hand side here for Whittaker in towards the penalty area. He's got 4-5 players waiting in the box if he can pick out a pass. Goes all the way to the byline, perhaps just holding onto that ball for too long before eventually Giles gets his body in the way and deflects that one out for a corner. It looks like Giles has hurt himself there as well.
Yeah, Giles went down as soon as he made that challenge. It was a good one, nipped the ball away from the feet, and Whittaker timed it well, watched the ball, doesn't seem to have avoided giving himself an injury. He's down, possibly just a bit of cramp here. I mean, he won't want to go off the field if he can help it, but he is getting some stretches, as we see. Speaking of stretches, Hackney's done plenty of those, and it looks like he's set to join the fray.
Yeah, he certainly is. We've been mentioning him for quite a while in this game now, but it finally looks as though he is going to be ready to come on. We have got the scheduled drinks break coming up any time now as well, so you'd imagine that he's probably going to be coming on just as we say that. In fact, is this a substitution already, or is this just everyone going towards? Because it looks like David Strelitz is the one making his way towards the touchline, but that I think would be a bit of a surprise to see him going off, unless that means they're going to give Whittaker the licence to go into that number 9 role. Is that yet to be confirmed? But for the time being, it is all the players coming across to have a drinks break, and now all of a sudden it's a bit more urgent for Kim Helberg, because actually Hull are doing better, but it's still 0-0.
Yeah, absolutely. For a second there, it looked like it was Strelitz that was going to come off, and I was here thinking, is Kim Helberg going to revert to a false 9 in the Championship playoff final? But we wait to see who it will be that will make way for Hayden Hackney. A very popular return for him as we reach the drinks break. I mean, you were saying, weren't you, that it would probably be Brown or Morris. That's the expectation, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is. I would expect one of those two to go off. It looks like I'm getting ready to make a second change there as well. It looked to me for a second as though Hirakawa might have been getting ready to come on as well, but we'll confirm that in just a moment. Hayden Hackney is coming onto the field now. We'll confirm in just a moment who he's coming on for, but in the meantime we have gone over the 3-quarter mark in this game. It is still goalless at Wembley between Hull and Middlesbrough, and it will be Johnny to take us through to full time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. It's Hayden Hackney coming on, and Strelitz is the man who's over there on that far side. Is that what we're going to see here? As we We do wait. It is absolutely. Strelitz makes way for Hayden Hackney, a very popular return for Hackney, but not the man we expected to see coming off. But I don't think those Boro fans mind. They want to see Hackney on the pitch. They think he can make the difference here.
They absolutely do. I say McGree can play it through the number 9 role. Whittaker can play through the number 9 role. Hackney can almost be like a false 9, although they probably would prefer him to be a little bit deeper. But it just gives Boro that little bit of extra bite in midfield as well.
Yeah, it does indeed. Are we going to see him make the difference here? Well, the Boro fans certainly hope so as we tick towards 70 minutes played at Wembley. It's still Hull City 0, Middlesbrough 0. It's been somewhat cagey, although this second half has seen both sides open up a little bit more. Hull City in particular have looked more dangerous. Balumi chases down target but won't make it. It'll be a throw in to Boro. And here he is, Hayden Hackney, who ranks first for final third passes in the Championship so far this season. Well, that's certainly something Middlesbrough can do with, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. And the fact that most of those have been successful as well, but does even bode even better for Boro. Whether or not somebody who's been out for 8-9 weeks can just come into a playoff final and sort of judge the pace. I mean, the fact that this final is being played at a breakneck pace might actually help Hackney as well. But it's just a case of getting him on the ball.
It's somewhat of a bold move to bring him back, but it just shows how important he is to this Middlesbrough side, that it was a question of when, not if, as he's had his first few touches here as Middlesbrough look to come forward. Here is Hayden Hackney surging forward on the ball. Are we going to see any rustiness? He's being doubled up on. He seems to want to throw in a little bit gingerly, walking away. He just, of course, always a little bit nervous when a player comes back from injury that he could. I mean, it's the most dangerous time really for a returning player. As McGree on this left-hand side looks for Hackney. It doesn't quite run for Whittaker, who was chasing it. It'll be booted away, and Fry will gather it up. Middlesbrough captain on the left-hand side, play it infield and find Ailing, who will look to try and rebuild for Middlesbrough. Plays it through the lines, looking for Brown. Forward they come on this left-hand side now, and played across the box by Target, but nothing doing, and away now will come Hull. McBurney on the ball. He's dropped deep, and in fact a free kick has been given. I think it might have been Slater there involved in a collision. Middlesbrough will win the free kick, and everything can slow down.
Everything has slowed down, but there seems to be a bit of a problem here now for Middlesbrough as well. Let's just see if this is anything a bit more significant now. The Boro player is currently standing over, so is the referee, just trying to see whether or not Riley McGree can stand up of his own steam here.
He doesn't look in the best of ways, and it's that disappointed face as well. It does look like he feels that something has happened here. Let's see, charges for the ball there with Slater, and then he goes down. There's an arm in the air, and is that going to be muscular?
As he felt some sort of hamstring go there potentially. I mean, there was a grimace towards the bench immediately, wasn't there, from Riley McGree?
He's now flat on his back, and he's got his head in his hands. He's not in a good way.
No, it's not. I mean, the body language would tell me that it's likely that he may have to go off here. You have to wait and see, of course, whether the physio's going to work the magic. But if a hamstring's gone, then there's no numbing spray that's going to fix that.
No magic spray, no numbing spray, no sponge that can help out with a hamstring injury if it's a significant one. And it was the hamstring he was clutching, wasn't it? He went down, he was sprawled on the floor, and it's not looking good at all. The physio is on, seeing to Riley McGree, and Crooks comes over, number 25 for Hull, and just puts his hand on the shoulder, a little bit of a feeling sorry for you tap. But no player wants to have to go off the field in a game of this magnitude. You want to be on there for your side. You want to be the hero, and you want to contribute. So there's no way that he will be coming off unless he felt he really had to. As he takes a little bit of it, he looks resigned to me to his fate. I think.
I think so. I think the players now, I mean, is say he's. They're still going to try and check that left leg if they can, to see whether or not they could get something to help along. But Irikawa's getting ready to come on for Hull. We know that much. He's been waiting for the last few minutes, but now Boro potentially going to be forced into making a change as well. Whether or not it's Castle Dean, that's certainly one attacking option that is open, as indeed is young Sarmiento as well. So there are a couple of options open here to Kim Helberg if he feels like he wants to, like he's going to have to make the change here for McGree, as Irikawa now Just getting some final instructions there from Jakirovic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like he's going to be coming on soon. Hirakawa's been warming up quite a bit, as it does look like Middlesbrough are going to be forced into substitution. What a shame that is.
Yeah, and I mentioned 2 forward players for Boro, so what would you know? It's the third option there, Sonse Hansen, who's actually going to be coming on the Curacao forward, getting ready to come on. It's a chance that we'll be seeing him at the World Cup, of course. As I say, if I didn't mention that earlier, we're talking about the final day of the Premier League. All of the World Cup will be on our service as well. Plenty of caffeine in the building to make sure that we can get through those 4 and 5 a.m. kickoffs. But yeah, a real shame there for Riley McGree. Looked like it was one of those players that could do something for Boro today, but Sonse Hansen, a little bit more of an unknown quantity, as we're a very pacey and explosive winger. So this kind of change could actually work in Boro's favour, even though they weren't actually necessarily planning on making it.
Yeah, it's been quite a slow, methodical build-up play so far from Boro, hasn't it? So maybe an injection of pace is exactly what they need, and who knows, it could be a blessing in disguise, but a very painful disguise for McGree, who will not once have wanted to come off here, as substitution is being made. It's Giles who will make way on that left-hand side for Hirakawa, as Hull look to try and inject something of their own into this final. It's been relatively tense, it's been relatively cagey, but this second half has been a little bit more end-to-end than the first, mainly because Hull City have shown an impetus and a willingness to attack that little bit more, as it looks like there might be a couple of changes.
Double change, yeah. We're going to see Cody Drame, the centre-back. He's going to be coming on here for Hull City as well. Quite see who the second change. Oh, is that Balumi? I do believe that it is, yes. So Sergei Jakirovic has sadly, well, I'm a little bit, as a neutral, of course. I mean, I have no of the team in this battle, but as a neutral, you always want the game to be as attacking as possible. But now with Hull's most dangerous player being taken off and replaced by a big centre-back, I think that we know where Jakirovic is thinking this game might be going.
Absolutely, and that's both of their most attacking wide players. As forward come Middlesbrough, hoisted in towards Ailing, who gets his head on it, but it'll be relatively easily plucked out of the air by Panda, and he'll fire it forward. But yeah, Hull City have brought off their 2 most, say, traditional attacking outlets on the left and the right side of the wing. We've seen Balumi and Miller come off.
Yes, we have. I mean, I would say that Hirakawa is more of a midfielder that's going to play in that sort of in that midfield 4. He's almost like a winger being asked to do a left midfielder's job. So in that sense, there is some attacking flair there. But taking off Balumi to bring on Drame, well, that, you know, when it's 0-0, when there's still 15 minutes plus injury time to go in a game, that tells me that Hull are quite happy with what they've got in this game.
Jakirovic is possibly even already thinking about a penalty shootout at Wembley. That's something that he has seen as a possibility, as now Hackney coming forward for Middlesbrough tries to play it back for the substitute Hansen, who wasn't quite able to gather it into his feet, and Hull can play it back now with Panda, and they'll go long, as they did quite a lot in the first half. Less so in the second half, but Burnley was challenging for that, but Ailing can play it back to Bryn, slow things down for Middlesbrough. But yeah, it does seem quite a negative substitution, doesn't it? That drama substitution, the centre-back coming on, and it does look to seem that Jakirovic is quite happy to see this one out.
Yeah, he obviously feels as though he has the faith in his team to be able to get the job done from here. I would say that we're going to have at least 5-6 minutes of added time, so there's still at least 17-18 minutes to play. So it just depends on whether Boro have got enough about them to really try and break Hull down, because already you get the feeling as though Hull are going to just try and block at this point.
It almost seems like they've Jakirovic has said it's your move now, Boro. Let's see what you've got. As it's Malanda switching the ball to Fry, the captain, who goes out wide to Britton on this right-hand side. He goes backwards instead. Boro taking the sting out of this one. It's Ailing on the ball. He's gone long a couple of times when he looked to do so. It's an incisive pass instead towards Hackney, who's dropped a little bit deep and tries to feed the ball out wide to Britton. He can see the idea, but it's being cut out. And now Ajayi for Hull. That's a slightly misplaced pass, but they're able to bring it back, and Ajayi actually continued surging forward. He won't make it. Ailing cuts it out from McBurney, and now now here comes Brown for Middlesbrough with a little bit of space to march forward into. He's been harried slightly by Hirakawa, but it's found its way out onto the right-hand side and now back in field for Middlesbrough with Morris. He goes to the left-hand side now with Target. He finds Hansen on the left, running at his man, trying to cut inside. Goes inside to Morris, receives it back. Once again, it finds its way to Morris, and Hull, as they did so often in the first half, able to just muscle the ball and harry Middlesbrough back towards the halfway line, doing a good job of sitting in deep. Can Middlesbrough find that incisive pass? It's Hackney. Oh, maybe he can. He's found Hansen, and it's a brilliant stop. What a save that is by Panda, and the first real opportunity of this second half. The flag was up, so it wouldn't have counted. Hansen wasn't to know that, and neither was Panda in the Hull City goal, who made a brilliant save. Let's have a look. Yeah, he is offside.
He is, yeah, his body's just gone a little bit too quick there, Hansen. And yeah, it's a good save from Panda. He just gets his body across. It wasn't the most, I mean, you've got to credit Ajayi there as well, because he's pretty much getting a block on just as that shot's been made, so it completely takes all the power out of it.
Yeah, that enforced substitution, we saw McGree down, and on came Hansen, and he has looked lively, was offside, but was able to challenge, put an effort in to challenge Panda there, who did get down and was equal to it, made the save, and now it's Hull City on the right-hand side, giving the ball away though, and Lander can go long, but it's only out as far as Hull City player here, Coyle on the left-hand side. The captain finds Hirakawa on this left-hand side. Back to Coyle. Will he shape for a cross? He shapes for it, but he goes short instead. Now Slater on the ball for Hull on this left-hand side. Whipped in, it's deep, and it's Marshall, the target, trying to clear the ball away, and on the turn with the shot over that left-hand side. Hull City with a half chance.
Yeah, it was Gelhardt who's inside the sink shop in a big deflection on the cross, but that actually just means that everybody misjudges where the ball is, and perhaps Gelhardt rushing that, if he could have taken a touch and cut that ball back to McBurney, there was more of a chance, because in the end from the reverse angle we can see it was a long way from goal.
Yeah, he tries to do something quite dramatic and engineer something out of it on the turn, on the spin, sort of on the half volley as it picks up off the Wembley turf, but he does fire it just wide. Here's Hackney trying to play between the lines and race forward. He does look dangerous. He's found Hansen, who's ball back to him. He's looking to try and link back up with Hackney, but it was a shorter pace and didn't find him. But forward come Boro again on this right-hand side with Britton. He finds Brown. Back to Morris. Brown and Morris will play the ball between themselves now. This right-hand side, and now Hansen. He's looking lively up top there. He's injected a little bit of something for Middlesbrough. On this right-hand side now is Britton. Tries to fashion a cross, but goes backwards instead to Morris, and he finds Malander. And now Ayling is there. Once again, marshalled backwards. A little bit of pressing by McBurney, a soft press, but it's enough to push Middlesbrough backwards, and further backwards they go. Fry and Ayling. Now out to this left-hand side with Hackney, and now Malander, who finds Morris. He plays it forward for Whittaker, who's dropping deep to try and get involved with play. He's not seeing much of the ball further forward. Here he is. Back to Morris, back to Ayling. Quite slow build-up from Middlesbrough. They're just looking for that incisive pass, and now it comes onto the right side with Britton racing towards the byline, but his cross is quite easily charged down. It'll break for Morris here, who sets himself. He has time to find the cross, but it's a poor one. Doesn't beat the first man. McBurney now challenging it with Ayling, and then forward comes Fry with a crashing header, but it's actually deflected back towards his own goal. And now forward, Hirakawa for Hull is running at Malander. It's a one-on-one here, but it's well dealt with by Morris, who gets in the challenge. Hirakawa goes down. He's not going to get a free kick. Does well there, Morris.
He does really well, and Hirakawa did well to break out. There was just for a moment there, it looked like it could be really a really risky moment there for Middlesbrough, but they were able to just about get enough bodies back. And yeah, the game has slowed down in pace now, but there is still an edginess to it for sure.
Absolutely. Here is Malander for Middlesbrough, who have been taking it rather slow in build-up play and just looking to sort of spring the trap and find that quick ball through. So far haven't been able to create too many chances either side, really. So far it's playoff final. No one wants to lose this game. There's lots of financial benefit on the line as Hackney, he's looked dangerous since coming on, racing through and finding Britton on the right-hand side. He tries to stab a little ball through, but it's not going to find its intended target. Hansen wasn't anywhere near that one, so it's Hirakawa for Hull on the left-hand side, back to Coyle, and he will go backwards. It will find its way all the way back to Panda in the Hull goal. We've had a few substitutions from both sides. Which ones do you think have made the biggest difference so far?
Well, we've not really seen too much of Hackney so far. Hansen's had a couple of good moments down that left-hand side for Boro. Hirakawa had that breakout just now. Gelhardt's been involved. I actually think all the substitutes have done their bit. Drame coming on obviously to try and kill the game a little bit in terms of adding to the defence. I mean, he's not really had too much work to do, but sadly the game has just gone into a bit of a stalemate mode now, and you can clearly see both teams are sort of thinking about what they have rather than what they could have.
Yeah, absolutely. One eye possibly on extra time, and dare we say it, even beyond here as Hull City on the ball with Coyle. Receives it once again. Goes infield as they look to try and take it slow with Hughes, finding Ajayi, and they'll look to bring out to his right-hand side. Ajayi with those long strides, trying to usher his team forward and doing a decent job of it. Here is Crux. He finds Ajayi, who's now in a much more forward position. He has been for a lot of this game, but he's miscontrolled it and dived into a tackle. He'd have to be careful with that one, but Hackney, luckily, wasn't anywhere near him. As here comes Coyle on the left-hand side. Hirakawa now for Hull City, running at his man, trying to find a way to the byline and chip a ball into the middle towards McBurney, but McBurney's underneath it. It's going to go over his head. He'll chase for it and slide into the challenge on Hackney, who over the last minute or so has had two crunching challenges that luckily for him haven't made any contact. He's just back from injury, lads, as no one told them.
I think that from Hull's perspective, they're just trying to do what they can to unsettle the Boro star man, really. And so we can see Ollie McBurney really has been running all afternoon, hasn't really had too much to show for it. Frustrated Sergei Yakirovich now, but I'm not really sure why he's frustrated. I mean, he wanted this. His side were on top, his side were in the attacking ascendancy, and he took off one of the most creative players on the field and brought on a centre-back. So he's been wanting this, and I'm a little bit surprised to see body language from now like he can't believe what he's seeing.
Yeah, because as you say, for the first 10-15 minutes of this second half of the Championship playoff final, as the referee just having a little word with Hansen.
Yeah, it's Hansen and Hughes that are getting a bit of a... That's a good law from Hansen and Hughes, but yeah, they're getting a bit of a telling off here now from Jared Gillet, and I'm not really quite sure why. There must have just been a bit of a tussle in that last movement there as well, but it's a throw on now to Hull City on the right-hand side. We've still got, but now we're going to see what happened here. The ball's been up towards the halfway line.
Bit of afters.
Yeah, they're just pushing and shoving each other there, the players. The referee just telling the two of them to calm down.
Yeah, I think it's well managed by the referee. There's no need to do anything too out of the box here. Got a game on our hands. It's thinly poised on a knife edge, and just players to make up seems to be the best way to go about it, as it's blasted forward by Luke Ayling, and Ajayi will, under a bit of pressure from Hansen, does well to tidy it up, and it's a slightly wayward back pass, but Hughes is able to deal with it and goes very long, and it will filter all the way back through to Brin in the Middlesbrough goal. He can collect. And there is Yakirovich. He's somewhat unhappy, it seems, with what he's seeing, but the Middlesbrough fans, as they look on nervously, I think it's pretty tense, isn't it, in Wembley Stadium?
Yes, it really is. I think both sets of fans now know what's likely to happen here. And of course, Boro with their 5 straight defeats at Wembley, Hull with their 2 straight wins in big playoff finals. They'll feel as though perhaps luck is on their side, but here come Boro now forward down the right-hand side.
Yeah, Britton infield to Hansen, who's twisting and turning, number 27, who came on for McGree, went down with what we think is a hamstring injury, and it's going to be blasted from the edge of the box by Morris, who's quite far out, actually, quite a distance from the edge of the box, and it was an audacious effort. It's bounced off a Hull City defender, and it'll be out for a throw-in to Middlesbrough. It's a bit desperate, really, shooting from that far out. It looks like Hull will be... It'll be a good sign for Hull, seeing the Middlesbrough resorting to shooting from distance. It suggests that their game plan is working.
It is, yeah, it really does mean that. I do wonder how it's going to be affected. I'm already sort of thinking ahead towards extra time. How are the two managers going to approach it? Is it just a case of don't make any mistakes and just close out, or are we actually going to try and win the game in extra time for the lottery penalties? But here's Hackney now from Boro trying to throw the ball through, just too many whole bodies in the way, and they're going to win themselves a free kick, but the referee plays the advantage in Hull's favour.
Yeah, player for Hull who were doing really well. He's just run straight out of play by Coyle. I mean, under very little pressure. That looked like a tired passage of play by the Hull City captain, and now Middlesbrough come forward with Whittaker, who hasn't seen much of the ball, but he's running his man here, and he slices a shot, blazes it, and it's cut through the ball, and it's high and it's wide as he was trying to shape a shot, cutting in on from the right onto the left, and we've got Coyle down. Well, I did mention that he looked a bit tired as he just ran the ball out of play, and he hobbled away, and he's now on the floor receiving a bit of treatment from his teammate.
Yeah, he is. I mean, you do get an extra substitution once it gets into extra time, so it does give the managers that little bit more flexibility. But at the same time, well, I'm expecting a 7 or an 8 to come up in now. We're going to get the fourth officials board in the next few seconds, and I think 7 or 8 minutes is what I would expect to be added in terms of some added time, as Kyle Joseph, who got injured in the playoff semi-final, he was on our screens there briefly, and 8 minutes it is, so that we've still got time for a winner. It's basically half of an extra time half we've got to go here.
Good prediction there, Paul. It's 8 minutes of added time. Chance for both sides to find that all-important winning goal, which would fire them into the Premier League. All the financial benefit that comes along with it. What a huge 8 minutes this could potentially be for both either side. But Bernie's challenging forward. The ball comes forward for Hull, but it's mopped up by Malander. And now here is Ayling on this right-hand side. He finds Britton, slowing it down slightly. He looks like he wants to switch it, but he's not seeing enough movement, and then he plays the through ball in towards Hayden Hackney, who looks to try and spin in behind, does really well to turn. Can he find Hansen? Yes, he can, but Hansen finds Hackney again, just about stays on side. Britton on the right-hand side finds Hackney again, who hooks the ball in towards the middle, but it's not controlled by Whittaker. It just spins away from him. Middlesbrough can collect, and Hackney now on the edge of the box, cleared away by Ajayi. It was Brown actually who Hackney tried to release, but
I think Ajayi is in that follow through from his clearance has actually kicked his own teammate there.
He has.
Hughes, I think, who's in a little bit of pain here now, so we're going to get a bit of a delay here in added time as well.
Yeah, it was quite the swing of the boots from Ajayi. He had blasted the ball away, and looks like there's a bit of friendly fire in there as we see this one again. Middlesbrough building up. Hackney tried to fire the ball in, missed control by Whittaker. Malander on the edge of the box there, finds Brown, and then Hackney again. That through ball, boots. Oh, he's actually smashed with the ball.
Yeah, he's actually hit him with the ball straight flush in the face there. But Hughes now just about picking himself up.
Absolutely, and he'll get a little bit of medical attention here, and the clock can wind down. Which, if we're believing that the game plan by Sergei Kirovic is to try and see this one out and protect what he's got. Well, what he's got is currently a 0-0 draw, and if it stays as it is, of course, we'll go to the dreaded penalty shootout, which he seems quite happy to run down the clock and lead us towards. So I suppose that having a man down for a bit of treatment doesn't hurt his plans.
No, it doesn't. I think that it's always a risk, but I think from Jakirovic's point of view, he'll feel as though if his side try and match Middlesbrough in terms of attacking possession, it won't work out, and then there's a chance they'll concede a goal and have no way of coming back. So if they're competitive at 0-0 and still able to get the game to penalties, they'll see that as giving themselves a real chance.
Absolutely, and they are in with a real chance as Hughes is still down here. I think checking for concussion, it was lashed against his face by his teammate Ajayi, who really was blasting the ball away. Clearance, but he was caught with a bit of friendly fire, but he seems to be up onto his feet and okay now, as both sets have found to trying to create some noise inside the iconic stadium, trying to gee their players on towards what would be the all-important victory in the Championship playoff final. I think we're going to see a drop ball here. That's the way how these things are usually sorted out. And it's Morris who the ball is going to be dropped for Boro, and they can play on. It's Morris to Ayling on the right-hand side here. He's going to look for a cross, trying to catch the Hull players napping, but it's well nodded away. I think that was Slater in there. Hughes, in fact, as it's now scooped forward onto this right-hand side for Gelhert. But he's lost control of the ball. He's vying with Malander. He's managed to stab it backwards, and now Slater can collect. And City back with Ajayi now. This right-hand side as Melander is pushing and pulling, but no free kick given, and forward come ball with McBurney. Out to Coyle, who was down with cramp earlier. He's back on his feet, the captain, and he finds Hirakawa on this left-hand side. Running at Britain, takes it round him and whips it in, and it's dealt with, not quite dealt with, and is that the winner? Has Ollie McBurney just fired Hull City back into the Premier League with 94 minutes played? It was spilled by Bryn, it wasn't dealt with by the Middlesbrough goalkeeper, and what an expensive error that could be. It's turned in a poacher's finish, Ollie McBurney, and what a huge goal that could be for Hull City.
Well, those Hull City barristers can stand down now as far as I'm concerned, because I don't see how Boro are going to get enough time to get back into this game. What a moment that is, and it just needed that little bit of extra magic. Ollie McBurney delighted. Those Hull fans at the other end of the ground delighted. Those Middlesbrough fans, where Hull players are now celebrating, will be devastated. McBurney is going to pick up a yellow card for his celebration and ripping off his shirt. I have to say, just on a side note, now that players have those undershirts on, I don't think it's as effective whipping your shirt off as like that. But getting back to the important matter at hand, Sol Bryn. How has he not controlled this better? It seems like a fairly tame cross coming in from the left-hand side, but when he cuts it out, it's almost like he's done the Hull players a favour, and he's almost taken his own players out of the equation, because Hirakawa's ball is stopped right in front of McBurney.
Oh, it's really poor goalkeeping, because he palms it right into danger. Are we going to see a check for offside here? I think was play being affected. I'm not sure it was. No contact is made on the line.
I mean, as I say, Gelhardt has to. If they disallow, I said the whole barristers could stand down. If they disallow that, then I think that they'll be back. They'll be back. They'll be back on the hotline straight away. But McBurney, absolutely delighted, and from Hull City's point of view, a huge moment. As those Hull fans at the other end of the ground, they can't quite believe it.
Has Ollie McBurney just scored the biggest and most important goal of his career? Has Bryn just made the biggest and most important error of his career? The ball came in from Hirakawa and it was palmed right back into danger by Bryn. And we saw a couple of times in the first half, both goalkeepers dealing with crosses really well, but Bryn there, he's just palmed it right to the feet of Ollie McBurney, who's not going to turn down that opportunity. He has been booked for taking his top off. I don't think he'll mind all that much. And Hull City now just have to survive.
They do. I mean, it's double change here for Boro, but it's too little too late. The important thing as well is that we are kicking off now, so the goal won't be, there's no issue, or is there an issue now? No, there isn't. It's eBay and Sarmiento coming on here for Brown and for Target, but it may well be far too little too late at this stage.
You'd think it must surely be. Well, we did, of course, see there was an earlier playoff final this season, wasn't there, where we saw exceptionally late action. York City, of course, finding their way.
Goodness me, yes. And just as Middlesbrough are making last-ditch attacking changes, Hull are doing the exact opposite. They're making defensive changes here with John Lundstrom and Paddy McNair coming on just to shore things up for these last few moments.
Absolutely. Hull City are so close to the Premier League. Surely, you would think, sent Hull City into the Premier League.
You would think so now. I mean, there's, as I say, stranger things have happened, and you would imagine that Boro are just going to go hell for leather now. I mean, the check for offside, the double substitution from each team, the celebration for the goal. So I would reckon we've probably got another 3-4 minutes to play from now, something like that.
Yeah, quite possibly. This has been quite a lengthy break in play. So I think we're expecting to see attack against defence for 3 nerve-wrenching minutes for both Middlesbrough and Hull City fans, as we seem like we're about to get back underway as we tick into the 98th minute. Here comes Morris for Middlesbrough. Can they find anything? 8 minutes were added on, 98 minutes have been played, but there was a lengthy break because Ollie McBurney has just put Hull City into the driving seat. And we don't know how long is left, but we think a couple more minutes as Ayling goes long. Can they find anything here, Middlesbrough? They're battling for it. It's just hoofed away, and there was a late challenge in there. And I think Hull City might well have just won a free kick as Ollie McBurney is firing the crowd up, gesticulating to the Hull City end. trying to get every little last bit of volume out of them to carry their team home, to carry their team to the Premier League, and they're so close.
They are so close, and you look at those Boro fans who lost.
Bryn.
I mean, look at Bryn, but you think of those Boro fans who lost to Southampton, then they're back in the. I mean, it's such a cliched expression, but it really is true that it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? Because you look at where Boro, where they were in the middle of the week, realising that they are now back in the playoff final, and now it looks like they've lost it very late on, having overall probably been the better side over the 90 minutes.
More possession, the more footballing side, but at the end of the day, there's only one stat that matters, and that is the overall scoreline, which Hull City lead by 1-0. And we don't want to do too much of a post-mortem, but could Middlesbrough have, ditched those possession-based ways and gone a little bit more on the front foot? Well, perhaps we'll never know, as Bryn now trying to atone for his error, goes long for Middlesbrough. Ajayi fighting for it, it'll find its way to Hansen. Ajayi back in with another big challenge, but it finds its way back to Morris. Not long left at all now, Hansen. Is there any last twist in the tail? Morris out wide and hooked in towards the penalty spot, but headed away, and Luke Ayling will now gather for Middlesbrough. They need to be quick about this. We're approaching 100 minutes. Is there one last chance? Here's Britton being harried by Hirakawa. It was his cross into the box that caused all sorts of danger for Bryn, who flapped at it, and Ollie McBurney was there. In towards the box, but Ajayi away for Hull City. And the referee, has he blown the whistle? It's offside, full start, stand down everybody.
There were Hull fans who were reacting just like you there as well, Johnny, when they thought that was the referee calling time, but I think McBurney may have actually asked the referee how much time there is to go, but slowly but surely now those Hull players getting themselves into position. We're into 111 minutes of play now.
They thought they'd done it.
101 minutes, I should say.
Yeah, 101 minutes played. Ollie McBurney now, he's the man, the main man, the goal scorer. Has he done it? The Hull City fans thought so, I thought so. We can't be that far away from confirming Hull City back in the Premier League. It's a free kick for Hull. It will go along by Panda. All they've got to do is keep it down that end. McBurney flicks it on towards Hirakawa. Ayling, Britton, he has to go long. He volleys it forward, but Ajayi is there. Chests it down, he's battling for it with Hansen, who goes down. It's going to be taken quickly here. Middlesbrough, they haven't got long to do anything about this scoreline. They're 1 goal down, and they usher everybody forward for Boro as they look for one last chance. Bryn, what a story it would be if he could atone for his error. It was his mistake that cost them that goal. It's going to be fired in deep here. Everybody forward, including the goalkeeper. It's in, it looks deep, it's too deep, it's a terrible free kick, and the Hull City fans rejoice. Surely that's it. Bryn's now got to jog all the way back, and was his run forward in vain? It certainly seems to be. Hull City so close now, as it's going to be a goal kick, and they'll take so much time about it. We've played 3 minutes longer. There can't be that much longer to go.
There can't be now. No, you're absolutely right, John. I mean, we've had, as I say, we were supposed to have 8 minutes of added time. We've now had 11 minutes, even with the celebrations, the substitutions, the VAR check and everything else. I mean, Sergei Yakirovich is quite unhappy with the fourth official, so I can only assume that Michael Salisbury is giving him bad news, as to say maybe there's still, we're at 1:02 and 15 seconds, so potentially they've been told there's going to be another nearly 2 minutes to play.
Quite possibly. He didn't seem happy at all, did he? As it's fired forward by Panda. No sign of the referee blowing here. McBurney tries to challenge for it, and now forward will come Middlesbrough, but it will be a throw-in on that left-hand side for Boro as they try and find a way back into this game. It's going to be Morris who takes it, launches it long, and Ajayi there has a man all over him. It was Fry who's so far forward there, the centre-back. Usually the centre-back, he's more of a target man at the moment. It'll be a throw-in for Middlesbrough on this left-hand side. It's got to go forward. That's what Ayling's saying, but he's received it back in his own half. He's surely going to pump it long. Yes, he is. Sweeps it out towards the right-hand side, in towards the box, actually. It's headed away. Once again, Hull are clinging on, they're surviving. As chasing the ball there. Hull City trying to just wind down the clock. Luke Ayling. And it's going to be bashed out. What is going on there? Middlesbrough with a horrifically misplaced pass.
Yeah, it's just got a little bit messy for Middlesbrough now. It's sort of more desperation rather than anything. Sort of a structured camera focusing on the goal scorer, then on the man who allowed that goal to be scored, Sol Bryn. Now Sergei Yakirovich, is he going to be celebrating promotion to the Premier League, considering that he's had fallouts with his own fans? He's had a couple of ups and downs. Hull have been sort of in and around the playoff picture for long spells this season, but they fell away at one point. Now we've had, we're coming up to the 105th minute at this stage. We're still playing on for now as Bryn clears one straight down the middle.
Really poor clearance by Bryn, and forward for Hull will come Crooks. He finds Hirakawa on the right hand side this time. Back to Crooks. Can he seal it? It's blocked. And now Middlesbrough can come away. And they do. They look for it now onto the left hand side with Fry, who's still up there, tries to nod it on, but no one's going to get there. And Panda will fall on it. And surely they've done it. They've done it. Hull City return to the Premier League. Ollie McBurney with the all important goal after Bryn's error flapped it back into his path. And they find their way back to the Premier League. It's Hull City 1, it's Middlesbrough 0. They've done it. Hull City back into the Premier League.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or